And everybody, welcome to the Tuesday show. My name is James Chen.
Hey, I'm Ultra David. It's a pleasure to be back here on your side of things. Boy, it was a scorcher today driving through Los Angeles to get to your place.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that.
I got to imagine, man, this heat wave is pretty crazy right now, and I got to imagine that, the car must have been so hot when you jumped in there and drove.
Let me tell you, it's super, super hot. When I left Hollywood, it was still 98 degrees there, and it's not quite that hot here, but there are parts of SoCal right now that are 110, so good luck to everybody.
I was about to say there are parts of California that are actually 130? I think they said in Death Valley they registered the hottest temperature ever recorded.
Yeah, in at least 100 years. Yep.
And
so anyway, that's how things are going here. I hope everybody else is doing okay. You know the time we're in. We're going to be talking about several things today.
I approve of your shirt, David. See, so I have the matching cup to go with it right now. It is an all MK11 stream here right now. So
I brought that cup too, and I'll take a swig of it after we take a break, of course. For unknown reasons, I can't access it right now, but after a break, I'm sure that I'll be able to have access to it.
Fair enough.
All right. So we're going to be talking about some news that just came out a few days ago about Dragon Ball FighterZ. We're going to be recapping a couple of tournaments. In fact, a few tournaments this time. We got some 5-5 matchup stuff to go over, including a couple of fun questions about, kind of both of them about Netcode, really, but then also viewer questions, of course. There's other game news to catch up on. There's other community news to catch up on. But let's begin with this Dragon Ball FighterZ stuff.
Yep. All right. So all the games coming out with their roadmaps right now. You probably can guess that this is all just a reaction to No Evo this year. So all the roadmaps coming out one by one, and so new roadmap here for Dragon Ball FighterZ.
But that's great. This isn't something that has tended to happen. I mean, it's not the first time that we've ever found out more about plans from a fighting game developer, but for every fighting game developer in Japan to have had their roadmap come out in the past, month-ish, yeah, you're probably right that these were planned to be EVO reveals. But still, for them all to, well, almost all of them, to have that kind of info out there is, by itself, pretty good. I'm happy about that. I've always wanted to know. And, again, without needing to know everything, you don't need to tell me. I didn't expect, for example, to know all of the 4 of the 5 characters that are coming out in Street Fighter V. Just give me a heads up. How long is this game going to be supported? The basics, and they are in fact doing at least those basics. In fact, some of them are doing more than that. So I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a trend that I hope keeps continuing. The powwow. What the hell was it called?
The round table?
The round table, thank you. the JC Nile coming into effect right here. The powwow, that kind of thing. In fact, I'm going to call it powwow from now on. Those kind of things are good signs, and I hope all this stuff keeps up within our community, because I feel like the fighting game community is kind of unique in that all these different companies and all these different, games kind of feel like a family. And so, I hope these kind of things keep happening.
I definitely agree with that. Not just in the powwow, and hopefully they expand the powwow to include developers from other countries in the future too.
Yeah, exactly. Get some NRS going in there,
I would love to see that. Yeah, That is a company that historically we have known a good deal about future plans for. In part because we guessed that new stuff would come out every 2 years because it had so often, but right. In part also because they had actually said sometimes hey, we're going to have these DLC characters coming out. For example, in Mortal Kombat 11, we knew the whole layout of the DLC way in advance, which characters are going to be coming out. So that's not a new thing on their end, but I would love to continue to see that, of course.
Yeah, and then that way Ed Boon can just be sitting there and going why haven't you guys implemented rollback?
Just wheedling away. Definitely. All right. So, as far as Dragon Ball, before we start talking about the actual news, I just want to say congratulations to Tyrant and Damascus, who are now official community talents for Dragon Ball Fighters, which is amazing, right? They have been big supporters of that game. They're huge Dragon Ball nerds. It's something that really means a lot to them. Well, I mean, really, like, you could see in their tweets when they announced it that it wasn't just like they were happy that they're representing this brand, which is well known, and they like the game, but also like the IP has meant something to both.
Oh yeah,
they were little kids, and to have this experience of being official community talents, I'm sure is a great feeling.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like when the game came out, I think you and I commentated it once at like Central SenCal standoff, I think it was.
Honestly, like 5 times or fewer.
Yeah, but I mean, to be honest with you, it was never one of my goals to commentate this game. In fact, when it came out, it has nothing to do with the fact that, obviously in the end, I wasn't as addicted to the game as other games, but honestly,
yeah.
I just knew that I wasn't into the lore enough, and that other people out there would be, and to have them have that kind of opportunity to really represent, like, Dragon Ball, you know what I mean? Like, I just didn't, like, that felt like it needed to go to people who really wanted that and deserved that kind of thing, so...
Even before the game came out, I can recall talking with Hell Pockets and talking with Steve and Steven and all sorts of people for whom Dragon Ball was like a huge thing, and they were super stoked. They expected to like the gameplay, right? It was a beautiful game, obviously. But even beyond the game itself, the fact that it was Dragon Ball was gigantic for them, and I knew that it wasn't that way for me. So I agree with you that was something that I wasn't. I would have felt weird about taking to somebody's place who would, like, what if I had got the
right?
Would have been like, all right, that's cool. Like, that would have been my response rather than like it being like this is the culmination of 30 years of my life. And I feel like it is for some of them.
Yeah, I mean, like, I can whack nostalgic all day about Dan and Akira history, in Street Fighter V, and, you ask me anything about Master Roshi, I'd just be like, he looks like Tung Fu Roo from Fatal Fury, who clearly was probably inspired by Master Roshi, and I would get it backwards, and everybody would be like, what the hell, James?
For sure. Anyway, congrats again to them. So on this stream, the Dragon Ball FighterZ show thing that we got these announcements on, it was in part to Tyrant and Damascus who were doing the hosting of it.
Yeah, and by the way, I think that's super cool. Not only that they just got the role, but they're also part of the EU scene as well. And so to have, Japan, a Japanese company, go with them instead of like just going with a bunch of people in the US or even in Japan or something like that, I think is super cool. I'm so happy for those guys, honestly.
That is good. Yeah, I'm definitely down with that. So, they announced several things, right? Just sort of off the bat, there was a stream, right? They had, Hiroki Tomoko talking on there, the producer of the game. We'll talk about some of this stuff later, but just to get the news out and sort of maybe analysis later. So she talked about the fact that they've been thinking about implementing rollback in the game, and that it's very difficult. That it would be, let me get the quote, because I definitely wrote it down. The team and I are, of course, aware of the feedback and comments we're receiving from players regarding rollback. Although this is a feature that we would most definitely like to implement, it is technically difficult to have this supported. So they said that right off the bat. Again, we'll talk about that in more detail later, but that's part of this news here. She talked about balancing stuff, right, both characters and in assists. She talked about dealing with people who are rage quitting. She talked about a set of tournaments as well.
Yes.
So they'll be doing an invitational league series starting in October. It will feature players from 5 different regions. So that's North America West, North America East, Spain, France, and Japan.
Yeah.
And those are all separate, and what they're going to be doing is inviting players, 8 players from each of those. They're going to have a round-robin kind of situation. The top 4 will move on. There's going to be a ladder format at that point. It gets quite complicated, but that will be starting in October, so expect that to be cool.
Is that all?
I think it's great.
Did they say that was all online? That's going to be all online, right?
That's online.
Yeah, okay.
That's my understanding, at least.
Yeah, I mean, one thing about that kind of makes me a little sad is that there wasn't something in South America, because, I mean, Gundam Jehudi Kai in the chat points out that EU and France are huge into Dragon Ball, and I guess the Bandai Namco's offices are in France as well, so that would actually, you know, benefit them to have them be able to go to the offices there to record content and such. But, I mean, South America... and has huge Dragon Ball fandom, and so, like, I'm sure they're really into the game as well. So I'm kind of sad that there is no South America location for this tournament, but, you know, it's small. I'm sure budgets were hard to come by and stuff like that, so, you know, hopefully that's something... It
does seem strange that Spain and France are different. Those are neighbors. Those are neighboring countries. All right? That's like... Arizona and Nevada are having 2 separate tournaments. Like, what? I mean, there's obviously a little bit bigger populations than those 2 states, but as far as the geographic distances, like, it's not super great. So I am surprised that it's those 2 countries rather than something like Western Europe.
Right.
You know, something that's a little bit more spread around like that.
People know my geography is not very good, but... I mean, you've been to Europe. You studied in you studied in France, right? I mean, I would imagine France and Spain, like center of France to center of Spain, is probably shorter distance even than from like California to Texas or something, you know? Or okay. Clearly, then it's shorter.
Oh yeah, to go from LA to Houston is definitely farther.
Okay.
But we're quite an unusual country to be.
Yeah,
fair.
That's true.
Anyway, that's the set of countries that they're going to do. I agree that it'd be nice if that were expanded a little bit, but I don't know what the budget restrictions or otherwise are. And I do think it's good that they at least tailored these regions to be small, keeping in mind that at the very top of the address, they address the fact that they know that the netcode isn't actually as good as it could be. You know, so they must have taken that kind of thing into account in splitting in NA West, NA East, in 2 different countries than just Japan itself.
Right.
As the last one.
Okay.
Let's see, what else? There was a little bit more. Can you put this slide on screen?
Are you going to talk about their accidental spoil here?
You're not. It's so good. It's so great. I'm going to put this right here. I just linked it in the chat.
Yeah. Oh wait, no, I don't think that was the right link right there, was it?
Yep. I just clicked on it to make sure.
Oh, you put it over there. Okay, got it. Okay. Yeah, this was one of those unfortunate things. Let's see here.
It was hilarious.
Now, do we know if
be showing?
Do we know if they accidentally just put it in the wrong order, or what happened, or?
I really have no idea on that front. I haven't heard the story. So they put the roadmap up, and it's great to have a roadmap, right? September, October, November, December. Here's the stuff that's going to be going on. In September, there's a players reveal. In October, there's a round robin. November has the round robin. December has the playoffs. Oh, it looks like September has 2 more things. And if you kind of like scoot your eyes in a little bit, don't have to scoot in that far, you can see that, oh, it's Master Roshi's showcase and national championship details. And they had not yet announced that character, Master Roshi. They had leaked on their own channels. This is something that I don't think I've seen before. On the stream where they were going to announce Master Roshi, they leaked Master Roshi. On the very stream. It's not like it wasn't Steam screwing up, you know what I mean? It wasn't like...
EB Games or whatever, you know.
Yeah,
GameStop.
Japan having a miscommunication with Namco in North America or whatever.
God, I just call it EB Games? Holy crap, that hasn't existed in forever, right?
EB Games. That's right. Yeah, EB Games let it go. That's right. Babbage's was the second one to leak it, I'm sure. And on the very stream, they announced Master Roshi. They leaked Master Roshi just a little bit before. So that's hilarious.
That's unfortunate, but...
definitely on. Yeah. Maybe it was on purpose. I just can't imagine.
Hey, let's kill our own hype with this slide.
Yeah, because I was watching this. At that point, as soon as everybody's like, what? As soon as the chat noticed this, nobody's paying attention to the rest of the talk. Oh, you have playoffs coming up. Oh, okay.
Right.
The entire chat was just talking about Roshi.
It's like when Kage got released during Capcom Cup, right? And everyone stopped watching Capcom Cup, and everyone's like, "Look at this new move Fang has."
Definitely. So big bummer. Big bummer, but that's what happened. And then, as you could guess, they had an announcement to make. And that announcement is that Master Roshi's going to be in. They had a trailer. And that trailer, maybe 3 seconds of gameplay.
Yeah.
3-ish.
I saw the tweets about it before I saw the actual trailer, because people were actually kind of mad about that. So
yeah, I mean, it was a funny enough trailer. I like what they did. They kind of looked at different regions. There are different scenes, I should say, and then they finally zoomed in on his house. I thought it was fun. It was just, as far as the actual gameplay itself, you don't know anything. You're watching this, it's just almost no info about what the character is going to actually play like, which is definitely unfortunate. I'd like to know more. I don't know, do you think this is a big deal that they didn't explain a little bit more about what the character does?
I mean, it's interesting, right? I mean, to be honest with you, I don't think it's a huge deal, but from a marketing standpoint, I think it is a bad idea, because the more you show of the character, the more hype people get. Oh my god, he does this! Oh my god! Oh, that's that scene that references this episode in the, I think that's good. Because before, we didn't have roadmaps or anything. Again, I'm doing the whole, back in my day, I'm being Master Roshi right now, but characters just came out and we're like, whoa. It's kind of how it was. A new version would come out and we'd be like, whoa, who is this guy, kind of thing. And so to me, it's either way works. If it was just hey, here's the character, he's downloadable now, and then I would be like, yo, let's check him out. But, having a trailer like that with hype and stuff like that, I think just really drives eyes to it. And then you get the analysis videos, or someone's like, look at this frame here, what this looks like this. And it's just good buzz, good social media, activity. And good spreading of just word. And so I think that's, from a marketing standpoint, I think it's a miss.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that. It's true that some people will look at just a small segment of gameplay, even if it's hidden theater, secret copyright violation footage that you get of Dan gameplay, for example. That's an example. Some people will sit there and analyze that for an hour.
Can't imagine who, man.
I don't know either. But some people will do that. That is a good idea to have. That's a good reason to have that. You're totally right that makes a lot of buzz.
Someone actually said that there's a Roshi move list leaked, Phantom EX Death. It says apparently he doesn't have a super jump, and someone says
I was just
a super dash. I'm sorry, super dash. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say there are some leaks about this. At least a little bit. So no super dash. He has some big special move that is air unblockable. So if he doesn't have super dash, maybe he's a grounded character, but he's still control. See, he might have a super that automatically snaps by itself without you having to like combo into a sort of Dragon Rush situation.
And see, you know what the craziest thing about this is too is like I'm not even like that into Dragon Ball, but hearing about this is getting me hyped. Thinking about like having a character fight completely different, and they could have just revealed more in the trailer, and then it wouldn't have to come from a leak, and we could be hype about it. You know what I mean? It's just like,
yeah, I'm with you. I'm absolutely with you on that. As far as the idea of him not having a super dash, when I read that, as somebody who doesn't play the game, I thought the same thing you just did, which is, wow, cool, this character sounds like it could be really unique. That's interesting. I'm looking forward to that. Every single player I know who does play or commentate Dragon Ball FighterZ, every single one of them said, wow, no super dash, huh? This character is going to be garbage. Moving on. Like, categorically. Everybody. No super dash? All right. See who they put out next. And it's an integral part of the game, so it will be interesting to see how they try to make him viable in a way that it is really quite unique. They did this to an extent with Videl, who doesn't have a reflect. She has a dodge, and people think she sucks. I don't know if that's the only reason why. I haven't kept up with it in that way, but I don't think people think that she sucks. So
yeah,
I mean, the game has certainly diversified a lot. I think it's fun to watch at this point, but there's still a lot of similarities between some characters in a way that I think other games don't quite have. So I'm all for this. I think for everybody else, I'm sure that it's not that they think that having a super dash is necessary in the sense that that's the only way a character could be interesting. It's more that it's hard to see how you have enough movement. It's hard to see how your B&Bs would work. It's there's all the sorts of things that the game kind of uses super dash for, and everybody does. And how would the character work if it's not like that? And maybe he would suck as a result. I don't know. I guess we'll have to see.
Look, I am a true believer that because you can balance games however you want, a character losing a core mechanic, it's not hard to just make them stupid, ridiculous in certain other areas to make up for that. You know, obviously it's been tough. For example, characters like Little Mac in Smash Brothers just not having good recovery options. So they try to make him super good on the ground. It just hasn't worked. But, you know, I do, like, you could make Little Mac kind of stupid if you just made everything of his kill, like, at low percentages on the ground, right? Like, but that's just that's the whole thing. Is I really do think you could balance even despite having not some of the core mechanics.
Well, there's plenty of games where characters don't have core mechanics, or games that are just constructed of characters who all have their own different mechanics. Yeah. There's several series that are like that. So yeah, I imagine that that's possible, but they haven't done it yet. So I guess we'll see. I guess we will see. People seem really excited for him, though, and I think that's great. I mean, as a character, right? Maybe this thing is maybe a different story, but to have that character in the game, everybody seems really happy about. So that's cool.
Yeah. Again, I mean, honestly, I have no idea anything about the character, so unfortunately,
I can't really add much to this. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Anything else to say about Dragon Ball? He'll come out in September.
You know what I should have done? I should have been like one of those terrible news articles that, like, there was this one thing, I saw this picture of, like, oh, the creators of Avatar have, you know, walked out of the live action series that they're putting on Netflix, and the photo was of Dalsum.
What?
Yeah, they just, I don't know what the hell they were doing. Like, just like they didn't know what character was from Avatar or whatever like that. On the screen that I have over here, on the title screen, I 100% should have put a picture of, you know, Tung Fu Ru on there and put a Dragon Ball logo on there.
Oh, man.
I guess some article, like, news site that didn't really know anything about Avatar thought Dalsum was Aang or something like that.
That is great.
Man.
Just to conclude about the Dragon Ball FighterZ stuff, the bottom right of the roadmap notes that there are still 2 fighters to come, and that's after December. Right, the way that it's written. Well, just to understand the way that it's written, September, October, November, and December all have stuff written in them.
Right.
But, and 2 more fighters to come, quote unquote, is not in any of those months. So I think that implies that the support for the game will continue another minimum 6 months. and hopefully longer than that.
I mean, either that or they just don't know. They don't know when they're coming out, so they're just like, hey, 2 more characters coming. At some point, COVID's messing up our timeline, so just expect them.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, anything else to say about this?
No.
They had a couple of exhibitions, I should note, at the end. So this was not just... I mean, just to sort of recap the idea of the show, I'm really happy that they had Tyrant and Damascus on there. It's super cool that, as you said, that they are letting 2 folks in the UK handle this sort of stuff rather than just keeping it in Japan.
Or
they
US,
did also have the producer in Japan on the show too, so that's cool. I'm really happy about both of those angles. It's great that they announced new stuff. I mean, bummer about the leak that they themselves did, but it's great that they announced new stuff. And then also that the implication that support will continue, and also that they had this competitive angle that they then showed with exhibition. So I just the whole idea of the show I think is really well done. It's something I'd like to see more of.
Yeah, and again, having those roadmaps like that, I mean, we've seen it happen. Remember with BB Tag, when that game came out, and they're like, there's going to be more Fates coming, and then there was just like radio silence for like 7 months or something like that. And you can see how much that can hurt a fan base. And just having the roadmap, knowing that stuff is coming, like even for Street Fighter V, it's like, you're like playing it a bunch, you're like, well, Street Fighter 6 coming out maybe, and then you're like, well, here's 5 more characters, and here's for another year and a half, and we're like, all right, well, back in the game, it's just that kind of thing helps the fan base a lot. So, I really hope the Japanese devs who are not known to give out roadmaps like this, see the positive response to it. And yeah, there's going to be the haters like, why is this take? Why do I have to wait till what? But hopefully most of the feedback has been positive. So
definitely agree with that. Something I'd love to see continued.
Yep.
Okay. I guess that's it for the Dragon Ball roadmap.
Yep.
I'm going to move on now to address some tournaments that happened.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's talk about some results, which is good because we have results, which is fun.
I know. It's so. I feel like we have results every show now. It's amazing.
Yeah. And this is not even on top of the fact that there are all these NLBCs and all this other stuff that we have that we don't get.
So many community things going on.
Yeah.
Multiple per week per game, which is super great.
Yeah.
But first, here, let's talk about the Capcom Pro Tour Online North America West 1. Happened over the past weekend for Street Fighter V. There were over 275 entrants. I thought about entering, but it was my dad's birthday on Saturday. So my wife and I went over to my parents' house and had like socially distanced dinner. We went to their backyard and we sat at opposite edges of this like 10-foot long table that they have in their backyard. And, like talked at each other from like a distance.
Had the megaphone. How you doing, son? I'm doing great, Dad.
So I did that instead, but I thought it would have been cool. Hopefully I'll be home for the next one because I definitely would like to enter.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you though, I mean, obviously I got to commentate it, but it felt great. Because, especially like that top 8, the final set, and there were so many matches that came down to last game, last round. Like, the hype was ridiculous, and the level of play was super good. And it felt great to see that, to have that again. You know what I mean? Because, obviously, we're missing that. No combo breakers, no EVOs, no CEOs, and things like that. And, I just felt like the quality was so good. I mean, obviously, we'll get into a little bit of the netcode controversy later on, but, outside of that, like, that grand finals between Nephew and Samurai was just, so good. And, like I even said, like, every time the camera came back to me, I'd be, like, in the middle of, like, doing this, like, what the hell? Like, I would be in all these poses. I mean, you've seen that. I do that when I'm sitting in the back of the table all the time, right? Behind the curtains. Yeah. Like, it's nothing that, like, it's not performative at all. Like, that's just how it is. No. And that's just how hype I got, and it felt great. It really did honestly feel good to kind of have that again.
I bet.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the results here. So, as you said, Grand Finals was Nephew Colleen and Samurai Akuma. Winner was Nephew. First place.
Yeah.
Samurai got second place. Third place was 801 Strider with G. Fourth place, UYUJB with Rashid. Fifth places were Alex Myers with Chun-Li and Cammy, and Snake Eyes with Kage.
Yeah.
Seventh were Radiance Commander Jesse with Dalsum and G, and Equinox Filipino Man with Chun-Li and Manat. Just outside of this, in ninth place, Mira, Laura and Poison.
Mm-hmm.
Beast PR Balrog with Balrog. Fit FGC Dr. Danny Fam with Zangief, and then PG Punk as well with Karen and Seth getting ninth place.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that we talked about a lot on the commentary, though, was really cool to see PR Rog, Snake Eyes, and Filipino Man back in there. All three of those players are like, I don't want to, PR Rog, the joke is like, someone asked, like, how many times has this guy retired and unretired, you know? And I made the joke that he was actually still retired while he was playing, you know?
Oh, yeah, nice. Yeah.
But, I mean, it's good to see these guys play, because these guys have never stopped. I mean, freaking Snake Eyes was, like, ranked 38 on CFN, right? Like, they just stopped, they just didn't travel as much, right?
No, they did stop playing for a while. Here's what happened. I mean, I haven't talked with them about it. Here's what I think happened, because I know for sure they were not playing Street Fighter V for a while.
Okay.
I think that it's a good game again. I think that these are players who really came up in Street Fighter 4. I mean, they had other origins, right? Eduardo's been playing for like 15, 20 years or whatever, but as far as like their like main, what's the game that they really burst onto the international scene with? Street Fighter 4. Big fans of that game, all of them.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I'm not casting any negatives on that, but they didn't gel as well with Street Fighter V.
Yeah.
They were not secret about that. You know, they weren't being big jerks about it in public, but they did even in public say, "Look, this isn't really the game for me. I'm not really playing it." In private, they would tell you definitely more than that, and they're all playing again, definitely. So I think it's super cool. I'm happy for them that they feel that they're enjoying the game. I don't want somebody to play a game if they're not enjoying it.
Right.
You know, there's not enough on the line for that right now. These are all very, very talented players, and if there's $100,000 on the line, all right, fine. But yeah, it's not like that.
I mean,
only first place gets a chance to Capcom Cup, right?
Yeah.
Nobody else gets any money at all. No, there's nothing like that. So I'm happy for them that they think that it's a game that they're enjoying, and I very much look forward to seeing them continue to do well because they're all very talented.
Yeah, I mean, and let's be honest too. I mean, it probably helps that Chun is really good this season. That Boxer got that V skill too to help some of his bad matchups, and that Kage got buffed as well. You know, so all three of those players, their characters had some significant buffs this season to help them out. And Filipino Man, you know, he's like, "Hi, Rose is coming to the game. All right, I'm back in." Time to practice again. Time to practice again. So, I mean, that's an interesting.
And it's true as well that Snake has been streaming pretty consistently, but even that is not that old. He's been doing that for, I don't know, 6 months or a year. It's not. He wasn't doing it in like season 2 or 3 or whatever.
And I do kind of like what Dirty Boxers, you know, that little sentiment is that Street Fighter V humbled a lot of the SF4 pros. You know, I mean, that sounds a little meaner, I guess, than probably intended, but I mean, this is the case for every single time a new game came out, because you remember the transition between 3 and 4. You know, there's a lot of Third Strike players that were just like, "God, I'm the best," and da-da-da-da-da and everything. You know, you just don't know, you know, kind of things like that. And sorry.
I was just thinking back. I won entire tournaments with people who could beat me in Third Strike because I was playing Zangief, and they were coming from a game where you jumped a lot, and I was playing vanilla Street Fighter 4 Zangief.
Yeah.
Had just an absurd directionless anti-air in Lariat. It was incredible at launch. And so I was just like walking at people, and they would jump, and they'd be like, they're Third Strike players. I'm going to jump in.
Yeah.
Swat them down. I've won entire tournaments that way.
I still remember playing casually. I think this was at Dogface place, actually. I was playing Street Fighter 4 with a Third Strike player, and I was using Cammy. They were using Balrog, and we were fighting, and I won, and they were like, "You never jump!" And I was like, "Yeah?" He's like, how do you not jump so much? And I'm like, super turbo? You know?
Who might be a prominent Third Strike player who played Balrog in early Street Fighter 4?
I don't know. You know, I mean, there was the Balrog army in SoCal. I'll say that much, right? You know, you know. But I mean, that was like the first thing that he said to me after we played our first game. He was like, "You never jump," you know, because they're just expecting people to jump all day. So
definitely.
Yeah, but it's like I said. So yeah, I mean, Dirty Boxers acknowledges. Yeah, obviously there was nothing mean about what he was trying to say, but this is what's going to happen. And you know what? It's going to happen when Street Fighter 6 comes out. There's going to be a lot of people who are used to what happens in 5, and they're like, "I'm the best," and then they go play 6, and it just doesn't even play. Like let's say a Denka Diaz, right, who's never played 4 before. Is going to have to deal with... I remember I was talking to Ryan LV one time. It was like me, Ryan LV, and F-Champ, and we were talking about it. It was before MVCI was going to come out. And Ryan LV, you know, was the best at MVC3 at the time, and he was, you know, the best player. He's like, I really want to be sponsored. MVCI is a big deal and everything like that. And I just stopped, and I just looked at Ryan LV, and it was like, okay, like, I know you want to succeed in the next game. And I just looked at him, I was like, it's not going to play anything that you want it to do. And I was like, you have to be ready for that. Like, if you really want to succeed, obviously the success didn't happen because MVCI was the one that failed more than anything, you know. That was my message to him. I was like, you have to be willing to let go of MVC3 to be relevant in MVCI. Because I was like, the game is not going to play the way that you want it to. And it's going to be good in its own way. And if you want to be one of the best in MVCI and like be a sponsored player and everything like that, you have to let go of that mentality of, I just wanted to play like you, MVC3.
It's true. It happens each time.
Hey, you know what, Cool Cat? I mean, you're seeing David compete in Street Fighter 5 right now, right? I mean, he's been entering things again, so he's doing fine.
I'm probably a top 3 Honda player in the United States.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's
like 15 years ago when I was like, I'm probably the best Q only main in the United States, and then you look up the results and it's like nothing, because like it doesn't matter. Right. Be the best Q. Okay, congratulations.
Best Honda in the United States. Well, okay, let me ask you this question. Who else would you put in the U.S. as Honda players?
No Need to Talk is probably the best.
Okay.
I feel like I'm forgetting somebody really obvious. I'll think about it.
Some people are saying Cool Kid.
I don't think he's kept up like that, to be honest. He could be fun to do it.
Hey, look, man, I mean, I could be...
Definitely forgetting somebody else.
I'm probably maybe top 10, top 15 Lucias in the U.S. Yeah. I think that's legit. Lucia, the character that everybody's comment about Lucia is always, I forgot she was in the game.
I know exactly the feeling. Thank you, man. Nephew and Samurai had some fantastic matches. Yes. I analyzed that yesterday on Monday Morning Quartersback. Check out the YouTube of that. It was a lot of fun. They really had some of the best matches that I've seen in a while. They were super close. There was no feeling of one, as happens sometimes, one has the big advantage, then the other one figures it out, and then they have the big advantage, and then there's a big swing. Every round was close, even though in first set of grand finals, Nephew won it 3-0. If you look at that, it definitely could have been 3-2. It was very close.
Yeah, for sure.
So awesome sets. Shout out to everybody else who made top 8. It was all deserved. And I mean that without any irony. I'm super happy that all of them made it, even despite online issues, because this is Street Fighter 5. It's CFN, and we all know it. We'll talk more about these issues later when it comes to 5-5.
But yeah, no, it was super fun. Good matches. And like I said, it was just good to see again. I mean, it's brutal that only one person makes it because, you know, my pick was Samurai, and to like I said before the top 8 started, my pick was Samurai. And, you know, just I feel like this is a player who, you know, is obviously one of the best in the country right now, and he's just super solid, and he's always just kind of missed it by a tiny bit, you know what I mean? And I want to see him make that have that huge success. I want to see him to get into a top 8 at Capcom Cup. So we'll see what happens at NA West too. But of course, you know, Punk didn't make it. So, you know.
Didn't make it. Yep. There's a lot of very strong players in this list who did not make it.
Yeah.
Punk, the foremost, right? He's one of the best in the world for sure. But it just didn't work out like that this time. Yeah, dude, Commander Jesse, I see you in the chat. I was super happy to see you up there. As soon as I found out it was you versus Myers, I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
I thought it was great to see both of you guys up there.
And you know, not just because he's
Valley, County.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been playing with Jesse, I don't know, 15 years maybe? I don't know. Whenever I started going to family, whenever you started going to family, it was forever ago. So I'm really happy about that.
I said on stream that I still remember playing against Commander Jesse's Chun-Li in like season 1 of Street Fighter 4, dude. So, but honestly, also not just because he's in the chat, but yeah, Commander Jesse's another one of those players that's always just right there on the cusp. And you know, I mentioned on the stream as well. First time he got to travel, he double perfected Mago, you know, at the Brooklyn Beatdown. And it's just like a lot of times, it's just all these players just on the cusp. And, you know, that's why I'm actually really glad to see Nephew, you know, do qualify because Nephew is one of those amazing players. And, you know, he even said in the interview afterwards that living with Punk definitely has helped him a lot. And, you know, there is the little bit of that advantage of maybe trying to set up one of those esports FGC gamer houses like that, you know, outside of the fact that you guys have to all make sure that you share the duty to clean the place. But, you know, having that ability to practice someone like that, I think helps a lot.
Good job to both of those guys for letting Samurai come in to play the first match of the top 8.
Yeah.
The Bay Area had a big power outage due to some storms in the area, and where Samurai lived, power was out. And he put a tweet out that was saying, "Can anybody help me out? Can anybody give me a spot to play?" And they opened up their apartment to him. So that was great.
Absolutely. Guess that means they live close enough for Samurai to drive home after his first match.
I think he did.
Yeah, he did. That's what Nephew said. So he drove home after the first match. Because I kept making jokes about them yelling at each other, you know, in the hall, and then, you know, who was going to buy each other dinner afterwards. But, you know, Nephew said that he had already gone home. Yeah.
Alrighty. Yep. Good stuff, everybody. Again, we're going to talk about the Myers and Punk stuff on 5-5 matchup.
Yeah, so absolutely.
Look forward to that. Let's talk about AnimEvo.
Oh, okay.
Which is in week 2 of its event. This is an ongoing event. We talked about it last week, but they have a whole set of schedule coming up, right? Lots of stuff even still. We'll talk about that briefly, or maybe at the end when we tend to do upcoming stuff. But in any case, this past weekend they did several things. They had BBCF in a few different locations. In North America East, it was won by Ice Cool. In North America West, it was won by Aruka. And in Asia, it was won by Maki. They also did Fight of Animals in Asia, which was won by Lazax, who was playing Muscle Beluga, Egg Dog, and Magic Squirrel. I've never played that game. Vampire Savior in South America was won by So High with Bishamon. Melty Blood, Actress Again, Curtain Code in North America West was won by Art. Nitro Plus Blasters in NA was won by Baron.
Wait, was that Art like as in Arturo Sanchez or different Art?
I'm not sure. It just says Art.
Okay.
I didn't watch. That would be super sick. Ailerus won Vampire Savior in NA. Snuggleguns second. Mighty Mar got third. I thought Mighty Mar wasn't playing. Didn't he?
No, he's still playing. I mean, I know he's QA for Iron Galaxy, right? So I don't think he's ever stopped.
I thought that he had to take time out. Maybe I'm wrong about this.
Okay.
In any case, nice work. That's a smattering of what happened over the past weekend. Again, as far as the schedule goes, this past weekend they had, like I said, BBCF, Vampire, Melty Blood, Fight of Animals, Nitro Plus Blasters. They continued the Mahjong stuff as well.
Which Gundam Jehudi Kai says was absolutely ridiculous, and now I'm super curious. Okay. The Mahjong finals.
And then we'll talk about this again at the end of the show when it comes to the upcoming stuff. But next week, on week 3, they are still doing Nitro Plus Blasters for Japan. They're going to have Fight of Animals for NA in Europe. They're going to have BB Tag for NA East. They're going to have Hiso Tensoku for NA and South America and Europe. They're going to have Ultra Fight Da Kyanta 2 for North America. They're going to have Fantasy Strike everywhere. They're going to have BBCF for Brazil, and they're going to have BB Tag for NA West Coast.
I mean, this is not an easy undertaking, man. So
they are doing so much stuff. So much stuff. Yeah. For sure. Let's talk about another game. Killer Instinct in KI United. This was a big event that happened for KI. Bunch of players. I think it was almost 200, if I recall correctly. 190. Big event. And really, really good players, of course, as you might expect. I watched a good deal of it. Everybody's so strong. Really, really good matches in here. And do you remember last week, I think we were talking about... Oh, man. What was the tournament? It was the CGL Console Combat Online event.
Yeah.
And I was like, can you believe that there was a mirror match in Grand Finals? That never happens in this game. And it was for Aria.
And then...
over the past weekend, the winner was... This is the name. Skate Fast, Eat Ass.
What?
That's right.
Oh, man.
Skate Fast, Eat Ass won with Glacius.
Dude, sorry, apologize to people at home, but my internet or Discord is kind of taking a dump on me here, but hopefully it'll fix itself in just a little bit. So,
was it because I said skate fast, eat ass?
I think so. Actually, I'm pretty sure that's why it happened. So,
We're not expecting that name, huh?
I mean, like,
but he's been a good player for a long time.
Okay, yeah, I was about to ask. Yeah, I mean, like, obviously you can't have skate fast, eat ass come out of nowhere and win a tournament, right? I mean, like, with a name like that, everybody's got to know about this guy.
Yeah, super good. Second place was Carnitas with Glacius. So it was a Glacius.
Nice.
Very, very unusual. Third place was Crazy Skate Nate with Jago and Omen.
So there's 2 skaters in the top 3?
Skate fast, eat ass, and Crazy Skate Nate. And they really are 2 of the best KI players.
That's funny.
Super cool. Really, really good event. And it's cool that some of the same players made it in to the top 8s both times the last couple weeks. I think Nikki did as well last time. Latalis did, I believe. I'm pretty sure that Delta Rayquaza did as well. And those are players who are spread around all over, not just NA, but Europe as well. So shout outs to Killer Instinct for even making that possible. It was a lot of fun.
Yep.
Good work.
By the way, some people are talking about the Tony Hawk remaster coming out. I know the demo is out and everything like that. I never played Tony Hawk 1 and 2. Might be something that I wanted because everybody's talked about how good Tony Hawk was. So, like, I might actually have to just sit down and try to play it. But also just kind of wanted to highlight the fact that they're actually changing the name of that one trick, which I think was the mute grab, which was first performed and popularized by a player who is not mute, he's deaf. And so it was always kind of a wrong name, and it also just was kind of insensitive, so they're actually just changing it, and now the name of the trick is actually named after the skater's name. And, I applaud him for that, and the reason why I just bring the story up is because I think it highlights how niche communities can change their lexicon. They can change their words that are offensive. And, you know, in the past, when we have decided to stop using certain words on commentary, people have been like, that's just our language, that's our scene, and, like, it's just not true. It's just not true, so.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Last one that I wanted to bring up, again, lots and lots of other community stuff happened, but I just wanted to also shout out CGL for Console Combat Online. Injustice 2 happened as well.
Oh, dang. Okay,
and
okay.
That was won by Lord V Noodles, who plays Robin, which was pretty sick, and he beat Tweety, who was playing mostly Starfire, but some Dr. Fate as well. Very fun to watch, in my opinion. Beakith got third, and I'm pretty sure he was playing Leonardo, if I recall correctly. So it's rare to see a Leo up there, but it was a lot of fun to do so. You can definitely see, like, those players knew what was up. Like, that was not... They were not like, I've been playing Mortal Kombat 11 for a year and a half, and now I'm going to try my rusty old Leo. Nah, he was, like, doing all the stuff. So it was sick. It was really, really fun to watch.
Wasn't Robin always considered kind of meh? Like, and was it Hayate who always stuck with him for way too long?
Yeah, it was Hayate. I'm not sure how people still feel now. I've kind of been not following the game, but by the end of when I followed Injustice 2, people were more like Robin's probably mid to high tier, high tier-ish. I think people were starting to come to agreement on.
Right. Okay. Okay.
But yeah, it was cool. There was a Hellboy up there. There were whatever. There's a lot of different characters, and I just think that game was really fun. Bummer that typically the NRS scene does not support the two simultaneously, both Injustice and Mortal Kombat. But I do think that the scene's getting to a place where that's a little bit more
self-sustainable.
Accepted, you know, it feels like people are actually playing the games that they like, and I think that's super, super cool. Really happy about that.
That's good. That's good. And like I said, I think that's important for the scene. We talked about it a little bit last week, right? You know, to just kind of have this thing and not have this expectation that the game is going to go away. And so that way, hopefully they just say, you know what, I'm not going to complain about this, hope for a patch, or just wait for the next game, but I'm going to learn how to play through these kind of things.
Yeah, that was my memory, too, that Robin went up to about high tier-ish.
Okay.
But yeah, it was really, really fun to watch. Shout-outs to Lord V Noodles. He played MK11 at the beginning too, but I think he just didn't really feel like it fit him. And Tweety, same kind of way. Obviously, he's a very strong MK11 player, but he has been more. My understanding is he's been playing more Injustice.
Oh, interesting.
The game that he felt like he fit better with. So, all right.
Okay.
That's all I got for results, and maybe a break.
Yeah.
What do you want to do here?
Yeah, let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to get into the 5-5 matchup, talk about some Netcode stuff and whatever it is that you guys want us to talk about. So, be right back. That music might be too loud. There we go. I mean, not super loud for the viewers at home, but just in comparison to our voice levels in any case. There it is. You know, before the stream started, I joked to Poogas that, you know, he always subs during the break to make sure that we don't say Poogas in the official thing.
Thanks, Poogas.
I think that was the other notification set, wasn't it? Or was it the new one? Because, you know, you have the two sets of notifications for your stream.
Didn't it go back to normal stuff?
I'm not sure. I couldn't tell. Anyways, it doesn't matter. I don't really care anyway, so.
It should have.
Desk has a new X-Men vs. Street Fighter video? What the hell?
Thanks for the follow.
I'll definitely have to check that out.
Oh no, I'm missing the Democratic National Convention. Who won KI Ultimate? Well, that was Skate Fast, Eat Ass. the Onion article. What a genius publication.
What was the article? I didn't see that one.
AOC endorses the Iraq War and now gets to speak longer at the Democratic National Convention.
Jesus.
I'll be right back.
Okay. Oh, man. I tell you guys, I'm a tired man. And I've been doing so bad at uploading and getting all my videos edited and everything like that. So I've actually been doing a lot of work and also a lot more streaming and prep streaming and all this stuff like this. And man, I'm tired. I'm sorry that I haven't done a lot of the daytime streams recently. I've been doing mostly nighttime streams these days. Like I know last week I did Wednesday Night Fights. And then on Thursday, I did the Generation Spacing. By the way, this Thursday on Generation Spacing should be fun. We're getting Flo out to play against Tubaware in some Marvel vs. Capcom 3 to end some decades-long beef. Also, Thursday, I'll talk to David about this. Maybe we'll try to do the Shoryuken scrimmage on Thursday afternoon before the Generation Spacing stuff. Every Monday night, I have been doing SoulCal distancing, which is where I just basically turn on one of the AWS cloud machines and everybody, a lot of the Soul Calibur scene is showing up. And a lot of the strong players are showing up. And I just basically run an arcade cabinet. And I just basically have people jump in, and they like, I got next, and then I put them on a list, and then they go one by one, and so we get a lot of strong players going up against each other one after another, so it's actually just kind of like this fun...
We got a show, so give me a text.
What? Was David talking to me, or was David talking to his wife? I'm not sure. But yeah, just doing a lot of that stuff, and yeah, Shay, I'm going to be doing that with the Exerd as well. I'm trying to do that, so yeah. No, I was just telling people that, on Monday, I'm doing the SoulCal distancing streams now on twitch.tv/jchensor, where I basically run... What?
I can't believe you didn't call it social distancing. What happened? What went wrong?
Because that doesn't... It's Soul Calibur, right?
Social distancing.
Yeah, but that's why it's called SoulCal distancing, right? So, I mean, it's...
Social distancing. I mean, come on. It's right there.
Fine. I mean, it's the same pun. The pun is there, right? So, but I wanted it to be more accurate. That's all.
I couldn't believe it when you didn't actually have. Anyway, you want to?
Because it's so close. It's so close. Because Soul Calibur, right? Like I thought it was like more fitting that way. Oh, Ajax is there. I just saw Ajax drove over.
Sure is.
Yeah, but I mean, the cool thing about it is I run it like an arcade cabinet. So I basically just have one machine running, and everyone plays 2 out of 3 sets, and they just get in line. And whoever wins just jumps in and plays, and then they just keep doing that, and it's actually kind of neat. So, okay.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I know, right, Shay? I gotta think of a pun for Exerd now. Gotta think of a pun for Exerd.
Don't exert yourself too hard in coming up with it. Hey-o! We begin the show.
Alright, let's do this. Didn't even realize the music stopped. There we go.
Cool. Well,
welcome back, everybody. I just had to make sure I was drinking on the same time you were drinking. I was just trying to match your movements here. That's all. So
yeah, I hear you. It's like we're in a mirror. Let's get to 5-5 matchup, huh?
Yes, let's do this.
Let's do it. First, as we briefly addressed, Punk got 9th place in CPT Online NA West.
Mm-hmm.
when he lost, when he was eliminated, he was playing against Alex Myers, and you were commentating it. I can recall a portion in which you said something like, "Wow, I can't believe Punk's not reacting to this stuff. He's playing so unlike him." It's something like that.
Interesting. I would choose those words.
Interesting. Punk says that there was big time lag.
Yeah.
And, well, maybe not says. I mean, I saw a replay from his stream. It definitely looked like there was lag going on. And he was pretty mad about it.
Yeah.
Pretty mad about it. And initially, he went on Twitter and kind of blew up about it. You know, he was mad at Alex Myers by name, and he replied to a bunch of tweets that was just him melting down, you know, very clearly. To his credit, I would say, today, he did actually apologize on Twitter for that, and he apologized to Alex as well, which is great. You know, I'm really happy that he did that.
And Alex also responded as well and said, "Thank you, appreciate that. I still respect you a lot, etc., etc." So, you know, we hugged it out. We hugged it
Definitely.
out.
So I'm really glad that it's ended up like that. But certainly, Punk was mad at that time, and he, you know, even alleged that Alex was intentionally causing lag by mashing buttons, which is something that you can do in Street Fighter V, unfortunately. And he, like, put up a clip of his perspective with what the stream saw, and he showed, you know, Alex's buttons, and they sure get real buttonsy, and then it looks like there's a little, you know, netcode issue on the stream itself, on the stream spectator lobby. It's true that you can cause lag like that, but also it's usually not the case that it's that little mashing. I mean, I'd say, like, he was mashing for sure, but you gotta super mash for lag to be caused in general. Okay. And I typically do that. I mean, don't you? You know, if you're knocked down and you want to do a quick rise, I certainly do not do buttons. I go, I'm mashing. Look, a lot of people do that, right? And if I, now that I'm playing mostly a charge character, I'm not doing that with the stick. But when I was playing Geef mostly, I'm spinning it, and if I'm knocked down, even, you know, I'm not gonna get an SPD because I'm knocked down, but I'm just still like buzzing around constantly. Right. I feel like that's very common that people will mash to that degree when they got knocked down. I didn't see anything unusual in that clip.
Yeah, and one thing I just want to add real quick to that is Super Joe Monday, from, you know, who runs all the Reddit Street Fighter stuff. He said for Punk's video, that's not enough mashing to cause the lag. And as a guy who runs these tournaments all the time, he knows what that looks like, you know. So he can kind of back that up as well. So,
I mean, what do you think about this?
So here's the thing, right? Both players didn't do anything wrong. Like, I think, you know, we know what game we're playing. I don't blame Punk for getting mad. Clearly, people know how I get when I play fighting games or anything. You just have to read my Tekken tweets at night to know how I get about things. I don't blame Alex Myers for feeling himself, for kind of popping off on Twitter and feeling strong about himself, you know.
He got top 8, of course.
Yeah, but doing so by beating Punk, right? Who's the favorite to win that tournament, right? Now, the problem I think that comes down to it is, see, you know me, I'm a fan of emotions. I understand emotions. I understand the joy of winning, and I understand the saltiness of defeat and everything like that. Biggest problem, honestly, is that social media has given us a place to yell into the ether, right? Which is why now all of my Tekken tweets come with a certain hashtag so people can block it, right? Like, you know, you don't have to pay attention. Every single one of my Tekken tweets at night come with hashtag nightly Tekken tweet. So if you just want to block it, you don't have to see it at all anymore. Wow. You know, and that's the thing, right? Emotion is there. And I've told people that, like, somebody once even said to me, was like, do you even enjoy Tekken? Like, it was the same thing when I used to play Tekken. People are like, do you even enjoy this game? And I was like, weirdly enough, the angrier I am, the more I complain, probably is an indication that I actually enjoy the game a little bit more. Because if I didn't enjoy the game, I wouldn't care. You know?
Are you Ren from Ren and Stimpy?
Yes, I am, and that's the whole thing. Is that that's what I understand about the emotion. But like I've said in my streams in the past, having someone to rant to, having that person to kind of just yell into the ether with, is very valuable, which is why I feel like we're missing a lot of that on the online scene when you're sitting at home playing by yourself. At least when you were in the arcade and you lost and you were pissed, you would just yell to your friend, and your friend would be like, yeah, but, or they would be like, yeah, you're right, yeah, you should have DP'd that. That's weird, yeah. Like, like, depending on the kind of friend you had who knew how to control the situation,
Right.
It's that's what it is, Well, okay, yeah, that one Tekken clip was a different thing, but for the most part. But the hardest part right now, social media has kind of messed things up a lot. We tend to try to clown on someone like Punk for getting mad like that, but really, I mean, honestly, if you feel like you did lose the lag and this is your chance to go into Capcom Cup, which you got second place last year, and you would like to win and cement yourself into history because you're perfectly capable of it, and winning $250,000 that you can do a lot with your family and stuff like that, you're gonna get mad. Like, that's just what's gonna happen. And like I said, I have no qualms about Punk getting salty. The problem was just coming into the social media and getting angry. I think it was smart that he kind of took himself private for a second just to kind of cool off and not keep doing that kind of thing. Alex Myers probably shouldn't have jumped online right away to just be like, yo, look, this is why we do this, and things like that, kind of knowing that your opponent might be a little salty about it and stuff. But again, just like normally when you'd win at a tournament, you would run up to your friends and be like, yeah, I'm the best, this is why I do this, and it's isolated to that group, and so again, I don't think anyone did anything wrong. I just think social media exacerbates all of this stuff. It's unfortunate. I would just recommend to people, like when that stuff kind of happens, to just try to, avoid the social media. So that's why I always limit myself to 3 tweets in Tekken, and I definitely try to make sure there's a lot more positive in it than negative these days, even though one of my last ones was, boy, I suck at this game, but, which of course wasn't even true. That's typical James. Man, I'm only in like 1750 points in champion, ranked 1300 top in the world, but boy, I suck at this game.
Yeah, for sure. That's very James like.
Yeah. But
I don't blame Alex. Certainly, if I made top 8 in a CPT event, even if it was online, I'd be very happy, and I would talk about it on social media.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I'm super excited. Yeah, of course. I would definitely be stoked. And it wouldn't matter to me one lick that there was lag. I wouldn't feel that made my win any less legitimate. Mm-hmm. Because it's an online Street Fighter V event that we are playing over CFN. We all know how it is. They have tried a couple of times to improve it. It didn't really do that much.
If only they had a blueprint to follow, that they could have fixed their netcode by a lot. If only someone had made something that was, and documented clearly how they did it. I don't know. We can all dream.
We can all dream. All to more dream. I definitely would be hype, of course. And yeah, I mean, I wouldn't feel bad for the opponent losing a lag, because that's the game. It could just as easily happen to me, and I know that. It has happened to me. It's happened to all of us. That's the context that we're playing in. So I wouldn't get particularly mad. I also wouldn't get particularly mad. But also, I'd be excited if I won, because that's the context. So as far as Alex, yeah, that's totally fine. I wish that Punk hadn't exploded in the way that he did, but the fact that he ended up apologizing about it, it's in my mind, kind of moves us past this, and it's really not that big of a deal. It's just it's a bummer that the game that many of us like does not have good online.
Yeah. I mean,
It's unfortunate, but that's the case.
yeah, and I do like that from Punk, because that is kind of new from Punk, right? You know, he's been salty about these kind of things before, hasn't, you know, come back and, you know, apologized about it like this, but maybe that's something that Nephew talked with him about, you know, and there's another benefit of having the camaraderie, the, you know, the friendship kind of thing, you know, and like I said, being in your house by yourself playing these things, it's hard to rein in emotions a lot of times. I mean, I always remember the story of when the Beatles were about to break up, you know, when they were just basically, they hated each other and they were in the studios and they were just mad the entire time they were recording Let It Be. Then they brought in Billy Preston to help play the piano on Get Back. And they were all like super nice and everybody was all cheery because there was somebody else in there and they were kind of on better behavior. Like that, you know, it's having other people around definitely helps to curb, you know, those kind of emotions like that. And I'm glad to see that from Punk. But again, like you said, we're all playing the games. We know what we're playing. When the Soul Calibur players were playing in the Bud Light Beer League, they knew what game they were playing. Like they knew they were losing to lag. But they couldn't even really be that mad about it because that's just what it is. It's going to happen to the Dragon Ball players too. So, you know.
Look, you have to have... Yeah, you have to know that since we're playing online, that things that happen online are going to be what's relevant. So it doesn't really matter right now that Karen player can react to anything with a hit confirm. It doesn't like really matter. Mm-hmm. What matters is whether you can do that online. And if you are playing a character that is more reaction heavy, it's going to be harder. That's just the nature of it. Yeah. And I'm a little surprised that Punk is still playing Karen. He can still react because he's just a super, super good player at that. But she will suffer more than many when it comes to lag issues. She just will. That's the nature of the character. Mm-hmm. So in the context of an online play situation, yeah, I mean, if I were a competitor, I would be thinking about that. Which characters not only are good, which characters have good matchups, but also, what are those matchups like online? Like, how effective is this character online? That's what matters for now and for the foreseeable future, at least in this country.
And, you know, James the Powerhead brings up Daigo. I was about to bring him up, too. You know, Daigo is one of those players who's the master of adapting to things. Rather than trying to force what he wants to do in the environment he has, he learns just to play the best in the environment that he's given. You know, he won CPT online because he's been playing online. He understands how online changes what he can or cannot do, you know, and he'll practice what he needs to do. And he can still whiff punish people pretty dang good. So, but then again, Japan's internet is a little better, but
a little better. All right. Anything else to say about this one?
No. Like I said, emotions are going to run high and low. I don't blame either of them for the emotional reaction that they went to. I'm glad everybody was mature about it and it kind of fixed things up. But if you do get that mad, sometimes just consider not going to Twitter. That's just it. You know, just stay away from the social media for a second.
Let's talk about our next topic here that we've also chosen, and it's not unrelated. So the producer of DBFZ, like we said earlier, did address rollback netcode. Let me go back up to the quote here. The team and I are of course aware of the feedback and comments we are receiving from players regarding rollback. Although this is a feature that we would most definitely like to implement, it is technically difficult to have this supported. What do you think about that?
I see it in two ways. One, you know, obviously, you know, Fexel's done it, and their company literally has a game where they're doing it. Not Bandai Namco, obviously, but Arxis, the developers of it, they're doing it for Guilty Gear Strive. So there's some experimentation with it. In Mortal Kombat did it, you know, ripping the netcode out and replacing it with something else. So, you know, on the one hand, it's sad to hear because there's a lot of resources out there, I think, that could help make it easier. On the other hand, they talked about rollback netcode. Like, that's a win already.
That's a good point.
It's a win already, and not only that, but, you know, like some people in the chat are saying, she's not wrong. it isn't easy to do. In fact, the Fexel guy has even talked about it before. He's like, wow, this is really complicated. And Hi-Fi, trying to get footsies working with it is, running into issues here and there and such. So it's not simple to implement into your game. And the scope of it, maybe she actually has more information to be able to say it's too difficult because ArcSys is trying it for Strive. Maybe that's even more informed a decision, kind of situation. So, you know what? On the one hand, sad to hear that, it's difficult to implement and a lot of people feel like it sounds like an excuse. On the other side, they talked about rollback and they acknowledged it and they mentioned it. And that's great for everybody.
That's true. That is definitely a good point. Yeah, it continues this trend. The trend is towards rollback netcode. And sometimes that trend includes the little, skirting to the side that is, well, we'd like to, but just we don't have the money, or we don't have the resources, or we don't have the time, or whatever. Mm-hmm. But that still is towards the trend of rollback netcode. They are addressing it at least.
Yeah.
It'd be great if they had it. It would certainly be great if they had it. I also kind of get why they're not. I mean, it's not just that it is difficult, not just that it would cost money. They have sold over 5 million copies of this game without rollback netcode.
Yep.
And maybe putting rollback netcode in would make some people buy it. Maybe I would give it another look if it had rollback. Maybe I'd buy the DLC or something. But they've already sold 5 million copies, and that's a lot of people who may care about rollback netcode, certainly some portion of them, but it's also a lot of people who, they didn't care enough about it to not buy the game in the first place.
Yeah, and again, just as a clear understanding of rollback netcode. I mean, I see some people in the chat saying like, "Oh, well, hey, look, Fantasy Strike put in rollback netcode." Well, clearly, again, if you design your game from the ground up with the idea that rollback exists, remember, save state is not necessarily that's something super simple to do in a game. Save state, you have to figure out everything that you're saving and stuff. It's a complicated process. You're basically adding a whole new thing to your game and then have the ability to make the decisions on when you do roll back, how that's going to work. Now, if you build the game from the ground up so that you build the game so that all this information is constantly being recorded for the save state, because you're not saving a JPEG and then you load the JPEG and then it just warps back to that, that's not how it works. But if you build the game from the ground up, knowing that you're going to implement rollback, knowing that you have to have the idea to save state and do all these things like that, it's not as bad. If you've created a game where none of that stuff is in there, like I said, it's not a matter of just unplugging one netcode and plugging in the other netcode. You have to do a lot of magic to make that work. And to say something like Fantasy Strike did it, why can't they? That's just, there's no validity in that kind of a remark, because it is hard. It isn't easy. I don't want anybody out there to think that this is an easy thing to do. It is a very difficult thing. Now, should it be the standard in the future? Should all fighting games program it with rollback in mind? Of course. Yes. Absolutely, but again, these games are in development 5 years before we even see the game, and so roadmap wise, we're gonna see it not hit a lot of the recent games that we want it to. So
it's true. It would be awesome to see, but I just don't really think that Dragon Ball FighterZ fans can expect that. It'd be awesome, but it would be a surprise. It would be a big surprise. But at least, like you said, at least it implies that they are thinking about it.
Yeah.
We're still on that sort of general trend towards some point in the future having good netcode. We're not there yet in every case, or in many cases, but eventually maybe.
I know a lot of people don't like to look to see the silver lining. Like I said, the fact that she even brought it up and says, yes, we're aware and we're looking into it I think is gigantic. Because if they're working on Dragon Ball FighterZ Champion Edition, if there is such a thing, you could probably almost be guaranteed that they are already doing the inner workings to make sure that thing has rollback. You know what I mean? That's kind of the way that I look at it.
Sounds right. All right, you want to move on to viewer questions?
Sure, no problem. Let's do this.
Cool. Get it up on the screen there.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'll begin to read. Number 1. We have 8 questions. Number 1. Are the recent Twitter outbursts by top SF5 players over lag on CFN hurting the image of Street Fighter and or the FGC in general? 2. Do you think we can overcome the negative perception of zoning, or will it always be hated, seemingly leading to games nerfing zoning more than they should? 3. Do you feel some NRS players' problems with Mortal Kombat 11 are shared by lots of people, or is that just an illusion created by social media? 4.
Social media questions here.
Yeah. 4. What do you feel is the adequate amount of time between generations of games, like Street Fighter 4 to Street Fighter 5, to allow a game to bake? 5. Why does it seem that the NRS community is one of the few communities that does not stick to a single line of games, like going MK9 to Injustice to MKX, instead of just sticking on the straight line of MK9 to MKX? 6. Is learning multiple fighting games at once a good idea, or is it too exhausting to learn that much information? 7. Why hasn't Capcom made a Capcom versus SNK type of game with teams, ratios, groove system, etc. since CVS2? If they did, how would you want it to be modernized? And lastly, if there was a new Killer Instinct not developed by Iron Galaxy, which developer would you want to work on it?
These are all really good questions, by the way.
Questions, I agree with you. All right, we had 2 that tied yet again. This has happened a couple times lately. Number 1 is one of them. After the recent Twitter outbursts by top SF5 players over lag on CFN, are they hurting the image of Street Fighter and or the FGC in general? And also, number 7, why hasn't Capcom made a Capcom versus SNK type of game with teams, ratios, and groove systems since CVS2? If they did, how would you want it to be modernized? Those are the 2 winners. So, let's get to number 1. What do you think about these recent outbursts by top SF5 players over lag? Are they, we talked about it maybe with respect to Punk and Alex Myers, but do you think that they are hurting the image of Street Fighter and or the FGC in general?
I mean, at this point in time, if you're playing Street Fighter 5 still, like, who is there to hurt the image of the game? Like, we're in Season 5. Like you said, we know the game that we're playing. We've known about the Ultimore patch. We've known about all this stuff. And everybody talks about how terrible the rollback netcode is in Street Fighter 5. Can you really hurt it any more than what we've already done? I personally don't think so. If you're still playing Street Fighter 5, you know what you're into. And I think all of us complain about the netcode like constantly. You know what I mean? I don't even think it's recent. It's been 5 years since we've been complaining about it. And is it worse than it was before? No. Is it? I'm sorry, I should say, is the complaining worse than it was before? No. It's about the same. And again, like, I just don't think there's anybody to hurt the image to now. Like, if you're still watching Street Fighter 5 after 5 years and you start reading this, you're not going to go, yeah, the netcode does suck. I'm going to stop playing. You know, it's too late.
Great point, Punk. That's true. The netcode isn't great sometimes. Yeah. No, of course. I agree with you. We all know it. And certainly within the Street Fighter community, it's not going to make a difference. Mm-hmm. Within the larger FGC, will the FGC, if you're not part of the Street Fighter scene, will you think of the Street Fighter scene as being worse? I don't think so. In fact, I think that there are people who would view a more sort of aggressive approach to trying to get Capcom to improve the netcode. I think that they might view that as more positive for the Street Fighter scene. Right? They might think, wow, the Street Fighter players are actually paying attention to the game that they're playing now, huh? Right. It sounds like they're actually, right? They might like think higher of them. there's a lot of like, I can't believe people are playing Street Fighter 5. I mean, you know, there's a mentality that exists. So I think that actually might improve it. As far as outside of the FGC, it's definitely not hurting the FGC in general. It's for sure. If you're somebody who is not paying attention to the FGC, you didn't hear about Punk talking about this. You just didn't even come across it. There's no way. Right? This was not some story in the New York Times. You know what I mean? This is... we're small. We're small. This is what it is. And if you aren't paying enough attention to know that the netcode's bad in Street Fighter V, then you didn't hear about Punk this weekend. You just didn't even come across it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, look, I agree with King9999 that, you know, it's just like you're tired of hearing about complaints and stuff. But I mean, you know, like you said last week from the NRS scene, I know you're tired of hearing. I know Aquaman was tired of hearing about the complaints. You know, every scene is sitting there crying about their game in some way, shape, or form.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, that was not an NRS exclusive problem. Yeah. Of course. Yeah, every scene has complaints about their game. Nobody feels like it's perfect.
Right.
Especially when it comes to the netcode, which many games do not get right.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that they don't like the game overall. I mean, that doesn't mean that they're not playing the game all the time.
Right.
Those are... It sounds like it should mean that. It sounds like you should, if you're not somebody who enjoys the game, it sounds like you shouldn't be playing it, but really, you're somebody who enjoys the game in many ways, but you have a significant problem with a couple things about it.
It's like I said, that's why I say the saltier I am, the more it means I care.
I get it.
You gotta do the Ren thing here.
Exactly. Yep.
You idiot. Oh man.
All right, the other one that got first place here. Why hasn't Capcom made a Capcom versus SNK type of game with teams, ratios, groove systems since CVS2? And if they did, how would you want it to be modernized? So this question is not why haven't they made a Capcom versus SNK 3, which almost certainly is due to licensing issues, or at least part of it. It's Capcom could do the same. They could have Capcom versus Capcom, or whatever, you know, stuff that they own, and they could do teams in that way, in the same way that like a KOF game tends to do it. They could have grooves. They could do that stuff again. Why do you think that they haven't?
You go first on this one, because I kind of know where I stand on this one, but I'm curious what you think about this.
Okay, so I should note, I did shorten this question. The question did say you might consider that Capcom Fighting Jam was that same sort of idea, which maybe you could say that. I don't know that it's the same exact kind of thing, because it's not like you could play a Darkstalkers character in Red Earth mode.
Yeah, and not only that, you didn't even need to change your character if you didn't want to. Like, that mechanic
so wasn't really the same, but like maybe you want to consider that. But they certainly haven't done something as complex as CVS2. So I would say that I think that it is because there's a lot of unnecessary complexity in a game like CVS2.
Okay.
You have a ton, well, there's 6 grooves, I don't know how many characters there are, I would guess 40-ish, right? There's a lot. There's a lot of complexity in there. Each groove has some substantial differences. What happens in reality is that people play 2 to 3 grooves, really. There are some heroes out there who play S groove. There's a couple heroes out there who play P groove. It's rare. Even N groove by the end of the game's life was much less common. You know, people were playing A and K, and like occasionally you saw a C. So you had all this complexity, and it kind of got boiled down because players were like, well, this one is just the better. It's just the better option compared to this other one. Why would I play P groove super? I mean, there's any number of reasons not to play P, right? Same with S. Why just play another groove? So I think that games that get all this complexity built in like that, oftentimes the way that it really plays out is that that's not really there. People ignore it. And that's kind of how I feel about a game like CVS2 if they were to make a new one. I think if they were to do that, they don't need to have 6 grooves. To have 3 or 4 or something, I don't know, at max. Maybe not have 3 teams, maybe not also have the ratio system. There's all these little sub things in there. When you're somebody in the arcade who picks up CVS2 for the first time, you've never played it before. It's a mystifying experience, right? You have to pick your groove. What is this? Then you have to pick from a giant list of characters. Then you have to say which one you want to be like what number, or maybe you just picked 1 and it's a 4. It's like it could be anything. And then after all of that, now you get to pick the order of your characters. It's just this big. It's just a big mystifying process until you're somebody who really puts the time in. At which point you no longer play S groove. Right now you're just playing K groove or A groove. So CVS2 is a good game in many ways. I know some of my friends it's their favorite game, but as far as making that kind of thing again, I think that if they were to do so, they would have it be less. They would have it be a little bit more streamlined. Maybe is what I should say.
No, I mean, that's pretty much where I stand, because I've talked to a lot of not only game developers, but, fighting game developers and stuff. And, one of the main goals in Street Fighter 4 was to reduce that, because it just kept getting more complicated every game. Alpha 3 introduced isms, which were just basically 3 grooves, and they had all their own systems and all this flipping and all this other stuff, which is super complicated. And then CVS 1 came out, and then CVS 2 came out, and now you could pick whatever. And yeah, a lot of times sometimes they wouldn't even just get past the character select screen. They'd just be super confused, like, what am I even doing with this? And like,
I definitely saw that happen in the arcade back in the day.
Yeah, you're just like, can I just start chucking fireballs, please? Kind of a situation. And so, that's why a game like Street Fighter V, starts with only one V trigger, only one V skill, and slowly adds them on, because you can kind of ease people into a little bit more complexity. So, just from game design standpoints, from people that I know who have helped create multi-million selling super huge franchises, they talk about that a lot, that CVS2 was just too confusing, and it was too weird for people to sit down and just like, what am I doing? And so we're not going to see a lot of that kind of stuff. So I agree with David that if they are going to make something like that, it's going to have to be streamlined a lot. You probably won't have as many grooves. I mean, they tried easing us into it with CVS1, only 2 grooves, and you couldn't pick the ratios, and then it just got really complicated in CVS2. But, at this point in time, especially with the push towards making games a little more beginner friendly, a lot of that is going to come from the menu screen and from picking your characters and such. So I don't think we're going to see something like that anytime soon. Now, are we going to get something like a Rival Schools where it's just like, hey, here's just these schools and, you can pick? Maybe, but I don't think we're going to see anything crazy like CVS2 unless we expect it to be created by an indie team that makes an indie fighting game that's an homage to CVS2, that's a niche kind of thing. Yeah, that's a niche thing. But for mainstream, I don't know if we're going to see that at any time soon. So
I think that's right. And I think that other games that Capcom have made have maybe helped drive that point home. You could look at gems as this kind of system, right, of sort of having grooves that you yourself construct, and especially the way that they ended up doing the competitive mode in Street Fighter Cross Tekken, where you pick sets of gems, right? It's groove-ish a little bit.
Gems.
And that just ended up not being that interesting the way that they did it. It just ended up not being very successful. And then in MVCI, it has ended up that people pick a bunch of different stones. It's ended up that way. The start was everybody was playing Space Stone and Reality Stone. That was, and again, diversified, right? That ended up happening for people who were really dedicated to the game. But the initial impression was like, well, here's my 2, right? And people didn't really want to initially spread out from that.
Right.
I kind of think that's just how it goes when people are confronted with a game that offers them a bunch of different choices until they really get into it, which is great. And I think that's awesome. But it will mean that a lot of people are kind of out of the scene, out of the picture by that point. So if you're going to spend a lot of money to try to make a game that you want to have broad appeal enough to make your money back and make a profit and stuff, yeah, I don't know if designing a game like CVS2 again is the way to go about it.
Yeah. As much as I'd love to see something like that, like I would love to see CVS2 in today's era of fighting games where roll canceling got patched out and they actually balanced the characters where they're all actually decent, like I would love to see something like that. But again, that's building off of a nostalgia thing and going from scratch. You'd be surprised how much a game like CVS3, if it came out and had all that options and stuff like that, probably wouldn't sell and probably wouldn't be that successful, weirdly enough.
I think it's mostly not true that game developers are actually designing games that they intend to be simple. I think, we've talked about this many times.
Yeah.
I think that tends to be a PR thing, and that in reality the game will end up complex because that's just been the experience so far.
Yeah.
But I do think that this instance of the CVS2 select screen where you have to go through, literally it's groove, one of, 50 characters, then which ratio, then which order. There's 4 steps, right?
Right.
That kind of like initial complexity is probably just not going to happen.
Yeah.
At least not at launch for a game.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, Cleese? Not sure. Yeah, a lot of people love roll canceling. Roll canceling made CVS2 a better game. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying patch out roll canceling because it's broken. No, roll canceling made the game better. It actually balanced the game really, really well. I'm just saying that it's just not something that was intended to be there, and it's too obtuse to force people to do. So if you made, if it was out in this age, it would have gotten patched out pretty quickly. That's just all I'm saying. So
yeah, like people are saying there are versions of that game they released that do not have roll canceling, and those are not the ones that anybody
yeah,
likes.
exactly. Because like I said, it's basically like, oh, we're going to take away Oro and Urian's unblockables in Third Strike. Why? That was how they competed. Right? So, like, you take away roll canceling from CVS2, and now you've just erased, 70% of the cast are going to die to Sagat Lowfierce again like it was when the game first came out. So,
definitely. All right. Well, which one of these do you want to answer otherwise?
God. Okay, do you think we can overcome the negative perception of zoning? Or will it always be hated? Somebody actually said to me, because, I'm a purple apologist on Tekken, and everybody hates purple. I hate green. And someone actually said to me, is like, purple isn't as messed up as everybody says it is, but it's the zoning of card games. It's just, it's denial. Sense. It's just denial. Right. And that's why everybody hates it. And it was just like light bulb. Oh. Light bulb went on. I was like, again, that guy with the GIF. That guy, like, it just made sense, and it all makes sense now.
Definitely. Yeah, I think, just to briefly address this one, because I'm not sure it would even take a lot of time to say, I don't think that we can overcome the negative perception of zoning. I think there's, at this point, 30 years of examples in every part of the entire world that has played fighting games, where everybody who has encountered that, a significant portion of them think that zoning's stupid. Everywhere, right? Different cultures, different parts of the world, different times, different decades, different games, different designs in those games, every single time.
Yep.
Every time.
It's just because the problem with zoning is when it works, it feels like you can't do anything.
Yeah, it's just not going to be like that. Even as somebody who I obviously really enjoy it, right? I love playing zoners. I will recognize that many people do not.
Dude, like I said,
I think that it's just we're not going to overcome that.
We'll
overcome it at once you get to a certain competitive level. But if you're somebody who's in sort of the come up, or if you're just a viewer, never going to happen.
Yeah, like I said, I played Harlequin in Injustice 2 for a little bit. There were some matches where it just, like, I just knew what the guy was going to do. And he couldn't do anything. And you could just tell he was seething at the other end just through the body language of the way that he was playing. And then I would play somebody else who used that exact same character, and I couldn't do diddly squat to keep them out. And you just have to play a zoner and understand and feel how it is when it works and then when it doesn't work. You know what I mean? To understand that it's just not as good as it really is. So.
But they won't.
Yeah, they won't. They won't.
I absolutely agree with TinyTex85, who says, I never play as zoners, but I love fighting them because there's no win that I get more satisfaction out of than getting in on a zoner and blowing them up. I entirely agree with that. So I do play zoners, but I also play many non-zoners, and I really enjoy the process of knocking down somebody else's puzzle. Right?
Yeah.
To zone is to create a puzzle that the opponent can't solve, right? That's the intention there. You're constantly moving the pieces around to make that happen. But if you, as the attacker, solve that puzzle, super satisfying. I agree. But, we're players who are on the more competitive side, and I just don't think that we're going to get to the point with non-competitive players where they think zoning's cool.
One of my favorite matchups of all time is still Hyper Fighting Zangief versus Guile. Which is, for all intents and purposes, a 2-8 matchup. 3-7 matchup at best. But I still remember, I played Duck Doe, and I beat him with my Zangief in that tournament that Watson threw at Super Arcade. And then Duck's like, I want to run back. When next time I visited, and we ran it back, and I played Ken against this guy, and I lost twice, and I was like, no, forget this. And I went to Zangief, and I beat him 5 in a row, because I was just like, you know what? Like, Ken versus Guile is a way better matchup than Zangief versus Guile. But, like, I just love that matchup so much, dude. It's just so fun. Let me see. What do you feel is the adequate amount of time between generation of games? There's a couple of NRS questions here. Why don't they stick with it? Players' problems with MK11 are shared by a lot of people. Is learning multiple fighting games at once a good... Okay, I want to answer this question, actually, because I know we've talked about it several times, but, just to kind of expand it, is learning multiple fighting games at once a good idea, or is it too exhausting to learn that much information? It is a brilliant idea. And in fact, I almost recommend it to everyone to do that. However, limit it. Don't play everything unless you're just that guy who has to play everything and enjoys doing that. Or you're like Sonic Fox or Sajam and you can pick up a fighting game in like 30 minutes and be like really effective at the game all of a sudden. Pick your main game. But try some other ones, because the things that you learn from the other games change how you view everything. Like, I got better at Street Fighter V because I played Tekken 7 and I had to really grind Tekken 7. I understand Soul Calibur a lot better because I played Tekken, Street Fighter V, and Samurai Showdown, and now I have this real strong understanding between the difference of mind games and heart games. This is something that I've talked about a lot recently. By playing these different games, I really have a much stronger understanding of how to approach fighting games and what skills are prominent and, different execution, etc., etc. So if you can dabble in a couple of other games, you don't have to take them seriously, but I 100% recommend it, because you could be playing Street Fighter V this whole entire time and go, I don't get it, I hate this game, maybe fighting games aren't for me. Then you go play Grand Blue and you're like, holy shit, this game sings to me. And you have a completely different game that you're now completely enamored with. So, definitely take the time to try different things and learn, because they're not all the same. Every fighting game is so different. So definitely try them out differently. Where is David going? Oh, I think the cat wants to get out. I think the cat wanted to get out of the room. The cat is like pawing at the door maybe or something like that. And so David, I mean, actually he just went to go out this way over here. He walked out this way of the table because clearly that's not a wall over there. So David just walked this direction. Oh, the cat wanted in. I see. Okay. All right, that's fair. Hi, Ajax. Hi, kitty. Oh, all right. What a good boy. Yeah,
my cat was whining a lot. He just drove here himself to James's place, where I also am. Yeah. And we didn't let him in the front door. So he was whining.
Exactly. And so
So now we got him.
Oh, what? Well, I'm just gonna tap the back of your chair because I don't want to touch the cat and disturb him. So I'm just gonna pat the back of your chair. Oh, there you go. Okay.
Right
Oh, kitty. Kitty. Look at this. Let me scratch its ear.
Multiple fighting games at once is a good idea in the sense that it helps you learn a little bit more about how to play even the game that you most like. There comes a limit to that, and if you want to learn a little bit about many different games, definitely do that. It's pretty hard to play more than just a couple of games really well at any one time. Some of the true geniuses out there do that, but in general, people are 3 or fewer games that they could be incredibly strong at any one time. So just keep that in mind. Shout outs to Ajax.
Ajax is such a handsome cat.
He's awesome.
I can't explain why for me it's more accurate to describe him as handsome than a beautiful cat, but he is just such a handsome cat. He's got this very nice stature to his face,
He's a very classic cat-looking cat. I agree. You don't have to tell me. Believe me. At least 30% of our conversation in this house is about how beautiful our cats are. Minimum.
Yeah, I understand.
Anything else to say on this 5-5 matchup here?
Let's see. And then there was Killer Instinct. It was not developed by Iron Galaxy. Which developer would you want to work on it? Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. We can save this maybe for next time if people want to re-ask some questions.
Makes sense to me.
We don't get a lot of questions re-asked that were not answered. You're absolutely welcome, by the way, to resubmit the question that was not answered. You are absolutely welcome to do that, just so you guys know.
100%.
Yeah. All right.
Good boy. So let's move on to game news. There's some other stuff to discuss. There is, in Tekken 7, a new patch. It's out.
That's right. The notes came out too, right?
The notes did come out. Yeah, a few characters got changed. Fahkumram got nerfed in a few ways. Maybe normalized is a more accurate way to put it, to my understanding. In addition, they added a skip your turn feature in online lobbies. I am not a Tekken player, and I couldn't believe it didn't have that feature when somebody told me that. I couldn't believe it didn't have that feature.
I'm still trying to figure out.
It just came out today that now you can skip your turn in the lobby.
I'm just trying to remember Tekken lobbies. Because I don't think I ever have played in Tekken lobbies. Tekken's online has a lot to be desired. And I'm not talking about the netcode. I'm just talking about the feature set of it. Although I do like death matches on there, which is even on ranked, you can challenge someone forever. And that's always kind of nice. Right. Because sometimes you run into that guy who's even and you're both trying to level up. And I do also like the fact that, because one of the discouraging things about playing Street Fighter V is once you get to Diamond, it takes as many points to get to Diamond to like get to the next level of Diamond. You know, like it makes it harder to feel like you're advancing. Like there needed to be more divisions, and Tekken is very quick in the divisions, and so you do end up with these death matches a lot where the two of you just fight until one of you jumps to the next one, and it's kind of cool. So
that part is cool. Yeah. So, bit of a patch there. We talked about the Dragon Ball stuff, that's for sure. Skullgirls, Annie of the Stars, is coming to Skullgirls Mobile. And then at the end also it says Skullgirls Second Encore. That's in early 2021. They have a trailer out where you can see how she plays. She's one of the characters who appeared in the old Kickstarter that they had. You could vote for her if you wanted to. And she's been a story character, but yeah, finally coming out. Pretty cool, huh?
Very, very popular amongst the fans as well. She was always supposed to be like the raging kind of soul bad guy inspired kind of character. And, you know, it was funny because I was watching that mobile trailer and I'm sitting there watching and I'm like, wow, they went through all this effort to put her in the mobile game, all these sprites and everything like that. I was like, why wouldn't they just throw her into the actual game? I guess they're probably not. And then at the end it was like, here, surprise. And I was like, okay. Fair enough.
It was a really, really good trailer. Yeah, I mean, I liked it, yeah, because it was all mobile, and then I had the same reaction as you did. Why isn't this in just, like, the main game people are playing on consoles?
Right.
So they did it. Good work.
Yeah, good work. Again, you know, it's always exciting to see a game like that supported. You know, Skullgirls community loves their game. They're getting a new character. Like, how hype is that? Like, they're probably like,
amazing, yeah.
It's going to change a lot, right? And, you know, new balance things to wonder about, and new team compositions, and because of infinite assists, you know, which, of course, a lot of people ask, why don't they add that into other games? And that's the reason right there. We talked about CVS2, the complexity kind of thing. Yeah. But from indie developers, you can expect it. But, you know, once you have all of that from Annie, like, it just busts the game wide open again. And I think that's really exciting. I think that's really cool.
So expect her in early 2021. Yeah, super cool. Shoutouts to them still developing, still doing work.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. In Street Fighter V, they are doing this costume contest. Something we addressed in the past.
Yes.
Now we know what the 12 finalists are. So can you click the link there and put these on the internet?
Yeah, I was about to do that. Where is the link?
If you just scroll down, the way that they did it is a little funky. It's on Street Fighter's Twitter account, and then you have to sort of scroll down, and they're not in like a tweet chain or anything like that. You just have to see them individually.
Yeah, you have to. That's because the contest is entirely designed through likes.
Correct.
So that's why. So they posted them all up, and you have to vote on them through likes. And I still need a third monitor, man. Jeez, because like
we did talk about the TFH character last time, just to note.
Yeah.
Did we
talk about the TFH character? I can't even remember at this point.
Yeah, I mean it's in the notes, so I assume that we did.
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
It'd be weird if we hadn't done it. But yeah, Shanty is announced for Them's Fighting Her. It's going to be the 7th character. They did DLC, or it is DLC, and they had a little stream where they talked about what the character does. So yeah, we talked about that.
I probably kind of made a mistake here. Actually, let me recapture this because I did this wrong over here because the pictures are going to be taller than the tweets. And so I better make sure I have the whole entire screen.
Oh no, I'm trapped.
What? Oh, yeah. This is why I said
spatial anomaly.
This is why I say I need a third monitor because I'm capturing the screen off of 2 monitors, and wherever I move XSplit, I can't move it on any of the monitors that doesn't block something I'm capturing. So
wait, you're not doing window capture?
I do screen capture. Because if I do window capture, it still gets covered up a lot of the time. The only way window capture works is if it's the game. If it's like Street Fighter V from Steam, is the only way I can make it work. So the other ways always still seem to get blocked. I'll double check. Maybe I have a setting wrong or something like that, but I'll try. I'll see if I can get that to work next time. Because if I can, that would be friggin' brilliant. So
here's the costume contest. They ended up choosing 12, and like James said, the way they're going to decide the winner is by likes. So whichever of these 12 you like, you can give a like to, and there's nothing stopping you from liking all 12 if you want, but of course not everybody's doing that, and eventually we're going to end up with a character who has the most likes after the period of time. So you got it up on screen there? Yeah, you got the Alex one. So that's
one, yeah.
Number 1 in this. So yeah, Alex won. He's a New York mobster.
Look,
fine. I don't know.
I love this costume because I like the New York theme. It's a nice snazzy look. If this one won, we would never see it, which is the problem. But and his legs would still be backwards.
I was gonna say, there's a fundamental problem here, and that is that on these 2 sides that they've shown, they actually accidentally swapped the body, the upper body there. It should be that the right torso on this picture is actually on the left legs and vice versa. I believe that's more accurate.
I actually really, really like what Moose Stream said, that they should have did a male and a female category.
That is a great idea.
Because we all know which one's going to win.
We all know which one's going to win. All right, let's get to number 2.
All right. Numero dos.
I did not vote for Alex.
Yeah. So
I think it's fine.
This one
Here's the guy I want.
Yeah, this one is cute for sure. I mean,
it's a clever idea. It's funny. It's a clever idea. I think that the execution of it, maybe there could have been a little bit more driving into the Family Man idea. I don't know. He's disheveled because he's taking his kids to soccer practice or something, right? Just a little bit more. But it's a clever idea.
Yeah. I like the idea of a Family Man Guile for sure. So, all right, let's go to the next one. Number 3, Jury. Now, this is one of those costumes that I wish I knew how to read Japanese and Chinese and stuff, because I'd like to know what all of this stuff says. I don't know what all this stuff says, so I want to know what the theme is. Like, I actually really like the little, spider and the butterfly thing here on the back of the cloak. But, I mean, I think it's a neat design, but obviously, yeah, I mean, that's about all I can say to it, so.
Yeah, I think it's nice.
Yeah.
And period.
Okay. Number 4.
It's okay. It's not like my cup of tea, really. But I can see how people like it. Alright, so this one apparently breaks the rules, is what I've read. Apparently it was actually posted before the contest.
Oh, really?
And that's what I read. But maybe they're just going to ignore that in case it wins. It won't win, for sure, because it's E-Honda. But apparently that is the case. Yeah. In any case, dude, I think this is so sick looking. Look at this. the actual carrying this out, the execution of it, might be difficult in the Street Fighter V. It might be. It might be too busy. It might be maybe his hair is clipping into his butt or whatever. You know, it's probably basically weird. But yeah, I think it's pretty sick looking. I really like it.
Yeah, it's a cool outfit. It might be a little bit too busy. It might be one of those outfits that ends up getting banned because it like obfuscates his hitboxes or something weird like that. You know how that always goes. So I like the idea.
I think it's so cool as an outfit, as a design. I think it's so cool, so cool.
You just like it because it's Honda. That's all.
No, it's not true.
All right, this one. I really like the idea of it. The only problem with it is that Nadeshiko will never change costumes.
No, didn't they do that finally for the tracksuit one?
Did they? Does Nadeshiko actually have a tracksuit?
That's what I thought.
I didn't know. I thought that she's always been just the same no matter what. So
yeah, there you go. Everybody in the chat's agreeing.
Okay.
Nadeshiko has a tracksuit.
Okay. If they could change it, that would be cool. Now, obviously, everyone says that this one's really cute, but that's also the chibi art style here that makes it that cute. Obviously, if it was in-game, it wouldn't have that same kind of cute flair. It would just be Mika in this outfit, so...
Yeah. To me, this is the least interesting outfit of the whole bunch. I'm bored looking at it. I think there's... I don't understand. I honestly...
I think it has...
It's mystifying to me why this is the one that got in and not some of the super sick ones that did not. Yeah. I don't know. It's just...
I think it just more has to do with Japan sensibilities than it is anything else.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And this is...
I mean, maybe there's some cultural context that I'm missing, but I just don't understand it.
Yeah. And this is from Richard Suono. I only mention his name in particular because he's been a long-time artist in the fighting game community. Cute Sakura outfit. I mean, the pluses on this one really are the subtle references and, you know, kind of like hidden inside jokes. The Servbot pin. Obviously, the little takoyaki octopus looks like Karen, which is kind of hilarious. And the X and the Zero mask are based off of the original Puzzle Fighter box art from PlayStation 1, I think it is, where the Chun-Li head was basically that exact smile and eyes and eyebrows and stuff. So there's a lot of references on this one, which are kind of neat.
That's cool. I didn't get that part of it.
Yeah.
I definitely like the references. That's cool. That's a cool thing to point out.
And again, just like the Sakura one, a lot of Asian sensibilities on this one, so I think it has a lot of appeal for the Asian audience as well.
You mean just like the Mika one?
Yeah, I like the Mika one.
Yeah. No, it's. I mean, obviously, it's a really nicely drawn set of art. References are cool. It's not one that I voted for, but I think
the octopus the Karen octopus just makes me laugh. I mean, it's
great. It's great.
That's genius. I mean, you've got they only gave her 6 arms apparently, but still, having it be basically Karen's hair, doubling as the tentacle arms, I think is actually hilarious.
Right.
So.
I agree for sure.
Here's a Balrog one.
Sci-fi boxer, I think, is a pretty cool idea. I think imagining this in game where he's like doing a dash punch and he's got like these kind of like funky Tron rockets that are like propelling him as he's doing a dash punch. I think that could be super cool. Yeah, Doomfist Rog is a lot what it looks like Doomfist from Overwatch. So I think it's pretty sick. It does seem to me like the kind of outfit that is a little bit more niche, but I mean, I think it's really sick. This is one of my favorites.
Yeah, this one I didn't really get. I guess thematically, I didn't see it as sci-fi. Like, I couldn't tell if it was like Gladiator or I think the design is cool. I'm not sure I like the goggles or anything, but it's kind of weird to me. I don't know. I didn't understand this one that much.
Okay.
This one, Manat, I don't know. I, again, was one of the ones that I didn't really understand and wasn't sure exactly what the theme of it was. And so no real say one way or the other on this one.
I think it's so cool. I really, really like this one.
Oh yeah?
So,
Okay.
Yeah. So this is like a card dealer Manat, and she's gonna be dealing cards. You know, you got the clubs and you got the spades up there. I think that's pretty sick looking. I really like the kind of funky shading, like lighting kind of on the right side. I think that's really interesting. So I like it a lot. For me, this is...
Yeah, now that you mentioned that it's like a card dealer, like a casino kind of thing, I get it now. And that actually definitely improves the appeal of it. Okay. Because I couldn't tell what it was at first, to be honest with you. So, but now that you kind of mention it and I see it now, yeah, okay.
Yeah, definitely, I think it's really cool.
Definitely a lot cooler. I guess as somebody who's basically just doesn't go gambling all that much.
Me neither.
Yeah. And here's your winner, by the way.
Yeah, and here's first place.
Here's first place. The basically scantily clad jury with a bison hat and a Seth shawl. And there you go.
The funniest thing to me about this is that jury does not stand like that.
Right.
And then the person who drew this drew like as huge of a butt and thigh as possible, and gave her a significant help up top, you might say as well. And like if you go back and look at the previous jury, which is like actually more like how jury looks, that one's not going to get first place. It's probably not going to get top 3. This one is going to dominate. Right now it has 16.3 thousand votes. By contrast, the Minot has 5,000, the Boxer has 5,000, the Sakura has 13,000, but this one's gonna dominate by thousands of votes for sure. And it's because of the art style. 100%. 100%.
Yeah, I mean...
Right? I mean, dude, come on. Like, she's not going to look like that in the game. She just doesn't look like that. I don't know.
Look, I mean, obviously, look, there's definitely a specific design goal with this outfit. And like I said, the art is great. And,
yeah.
I mean, I get the idea of because she's part of the Shadowloo storyline, she's part of the, has the Sin storyline. I do think that this probably would have been more of a Poison costume, though Poison would have less reason.
Lee costume. Yeah.
It wouldn't have as much to do with the Shadowloo hat and the Seth shawl, to be honest with you. Like I said, it's a good drawing, and, it's going to win. And
it is.
In a way that I kind of do wish that there was a male versus female, a male and a female category here. And
dude,
don't worry, I'm
funny.
100% aware that the artist is in the chat right now, and I'm not trying to dog on it. Like I think it's
for real.
Yeah, it's a great drawing, and like I said, I get its appeal.
Dude, I think the touch of the little spider across the middle of the belt is hilarious. That is what, like, I feel like as the artist, you're like, hey everybody, look, I put this is the thing here. Check it out. It like kind of ties it together, and nobody's seen it. Nobody has looked at this art and thought, oh, there's the spider thing on the belt right there. No, that's not what anybody's looking for.
Oh man.
Anyway, congrats on the win.
Yeah. Oh man. Alright, where am I here? I'm trying to get into this one over here. Biker Zangief.
Yeah, I think this one's pretty cool. I like it. It's definitely something that plays to Zangief as a character. Like, it makes sense for him as a character. It has a lot of cool little Zangief references. The hairstyle there, the helmet that has the similar hairstyle. I like it. I think it's cool. It's going to get dunked 100%, but it's one that I think is cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any problems with it. I like it. I guess it just was unexpected to me to see Biker Zangief. Seemed kind of like Interesting decision, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I guess because for me, like when I think of a biker, I would think more like Abigail, Rufus, kind of thing like that, less Zangief.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would go. I could see that makes sense.
Yeah, so it was just kind of a like the design is good. I guess for me, it's kind of like a little bit of the lore, the lore-ish kind of factor that kind of confuses me a little bit. And at least the shades.
And yeah, his proportions are not entirely accurate. Yeah. Although I'm not sure that that's a prerequisite for being in this contest.
Plus, the shades would have also hidden his tubes for eyeballs.
That's
nice
right, yeah.
As well, so
the pipes.
The pipes.
Midlife crisis, Keith. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, Thong Vega.
All right. Oh yeah, horny Vega. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean this, So like it's definitely a nicely drawn Vega for sure.
I mean, the thing about it is, the thong part doesn't bother me at all, which is what everybody thinks, right? Like, I think the hoodie is just kind of weird, a weird design on the hoodie. Also, people are like, oh, you know what, this would be, this will attract more women to the game. Look, the women like Hot Ryu, they like Cody, who's dressed in a freaking suit, right? I mean, it's not the same kind of appeal kind of thing. So, it's a very different kind of mentality, but. Like I said, I just the hoodie I feel like doesn't really match as well with the Speedo. Like I would have just rather just had it be just the Speedo and that's it. Like honestly,
maybe he could take off the jacket. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean with the secret code, yeah, probably. But I think that actually probably would have been a better design without the coat. I don't know.
Yeah, I think this is a little confusing why this one was picked and not the other Vega outfit that did not make it. That was incredible.
And this is the crazy Laura here. What's interesting to me about this one is that, like, a lot of people are thinking like maybe some of those other designs wouldn't have been picked because they would be too hard to implement. But then this one's in here, and so I feel like that this one would have would kind of be similarly difficult to implement, but.
Yeah, this one and the Honda one are both really complicated, but they made it into the top 12 anyway.
Yeah. It's a neat idea, though. I like it kind of extending on the lightning theme.
Sure.
But
to me, it's maybe a little too busy. There's like maybe a little bit, I don't know, too much in even a way that like, although the Honda one was quite busy as well, I don't know, there's something about this that to me is just like difficult for my eye to follow. I don't really know what to say. Maybe it's the little jaggies. Yeah. It's certainly a cool idea. I like the idea.
One of the interesting things about, creating costumes and designs and stuff like that is you do have to be careful of a lot of stripes. Like you'll notice that in a lot of games you don't get a lot of crazy stripes like you see on her shoulders here and stuff, because in motion and in poses, I think it gets a little busy and sometimes can make it hard to see what's happening animation-wise, but I mean, we're also talking about the same company. Whoa, David is looping. We're also talking about the same company that created the Final Fantasy Guardian Force Blanca. So,
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So I didn't bother curating the ones that didn't make it, but there was a lot that are super good that didn't make it. The G one, where he's a wizard, I think
Wizard G was so cool.
Very, very cool. The Vega one, where he's got the cool like pauldron on one side, I thought was super cool as well. That was very interesting. There was a Gil one that I thought was great. It was really cool.
I want to click on the link that Max put in the chat, but I was too busy petting a cat. Let me take a look at this one. Which one's this one? Oh yeah, this is Wizard G.
Yeah, Wizard G is there.
G. Yeah.
Oh, Max posted the Power Stone one. Yeah, that's the Gil one that I'm thinking of.
Oh, yeah, the Power Stone one, yeah.
Yeah, that one's cool for sure. There were definitely some really interesting ideas that did not make it that I don't know, feel like they should have, could have, plausibly. Yeah, we were taking a look at it, Max. Yeah, I mean, that one's great. That one's great, but
The Gil one.
Anyway, congratulations to Jury.
I mean, the Gil one would have been cool because it would have been a good way to have it be a reference and then also still have the fire and ice themes in there. You know, that for a costume that makes kind of sense to have that. In other words.
Oh, is there a page that has curated a bunch of them? That's useful.
Oh, where's that at?
Didn't bother.
Oh, here we go.
Wow, I didn't even see that Chun one. That one's super cool. Okay.
Oh, dang. I'm going to scroll through all of these on stream. Hang on, let's do this.
Oh, the Zangief Barbarian one is definitely sick. Yeah, put this on stream.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of these.
This is on Fighters Generation, which also is a great site for sprite resources and stuff like that. So if you ever need a place where you just want to find some good sprites and for any sort of visual project or anything like that. So if we scroll through here, here's the Power Stone Gill right here. This is the Power Stone. Whoops, the Power Stone Gill. Do this really quick.
Yep, that one's nice.
There we go. So Power Stone Gill. This is the other Vega that we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's kind of a neat Vega. I kind of like this Vega.
Kind of? I think it's rad. I really like that Vega a lot. I think that's
is
so
this
cool.
like a Dia de la Muerte Chun-Li? Yeah, it is. A Dia de Muertos. That's cool.
Yeah, isn't that cool? That Chun-Li one's awesome.
That's
yeah,
actually,
I like that a lot.
That's actually really sick. I would have liked that also for the representation as well. And I like how the frills are more, Latin sensibility. This is actually
super
really
cool
cool.
outfit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exotic Jury? I mean, kind of looks like Jury, I guess, except with hella abs, it looks like.
Dude, this artist went with exactly the opposite style of the jury that's gonna win. Oh, that's great.
So this one is a Urian. I guess there's two Urian concepts here.
Oh yeah, this is interesting. Yeah, I like this.
There's this guy here, and this one, Secret Society suit, Urian. Okay. Barbarian Zangief, yeah. See, like this one thematically, I think fits a little bit more than Biker Zangief.
Yeah, I could see that. Sure.
Yeah.
And I think that the art's great on this one too. This Geef looks awesome.
Yeah, and then I have to design two costumes, in the game.
Yeah. I wonder if that was a real popular pick because you do, as the artist, you do get to design too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the second one's really cool.
Yeah, this one's actually pretty sick. And again, very Asian sensibilities because these guys is like based on Japanese street fashion, which is cool. Robo Alex.
Cool. Yeah, this one was so sick. Ugh, Robo Alex.
Of course you like the robot. You would turn you into an Alex main.
Wow, maybe not that far, but I do love the robots. Yes, Mecha Alex is super cool.
Gang Boss. Oh, okay. Poison. And then here's Jury.
Cool jacket on that, the poison one.
Oh, yeah. Jury. Cook. G the cook.
G. Yeah,
I mean,
Cook G. That cracks me up.
And then I guess Cyber Ryu.
Yeah, that right. Makes sense to me. I think that's really cool too. Well, obviously, I'm a big sucker for robots.
Robot equals instantly cool.
There's no secret.
Alright. Oh, I saw this one, Wintercoat Bison. Actually, it was kind of neat.
Yeah, Arctic Bison is pretty cool. I agree.
Arctic Bison. Nash. It's like American Jacket Nash, I guess.
Yeah, it's not my style, but I can see how people would like it.
More Juri Han.
She seems like a popular character.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Unfortunately, it's just one of those characters that when they win, like, you're not going to see a lot of people using it, unfortunately. Old man Sagat, tiger costume Sagat.
Oh, yeah, the tiger Sagat's pretty cool. Yep.
Ibuki. Is this like zombie Ibuki? Because her face is very white on the top right. I'm not sure. Let's see.
I don't think it's zombie Ibuki, no.
Yeah, it's just this just must be like a black and white drawing where they just colored only the mask or something. So.
She's just like goth Ibuki.
Yeah.
I think it's rad.
Robo Dalsum.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so many cool things that can happen in this world, and this was just a step too far. It would have been amazing.
I saw Robo Dalsum and I was like, man, David wanted this so bad.
I hadn't seen this one before, but yeah, this one is super cool.
Sagat as the Emperor Muay Thai. He's got like some sort of power up. Oh no, this is like was a tyrant. This was the tyrant version of him. He's got the
tyrant of Muay Thai. Ah, that's very funny.
Yeah, he's got the tyrant heart here and everything, hanging out on his scar.
That's interesting, yeah.
Here's G, the wizard. Wizard G.
Wandering Wizard G is so good.
Like,
so good.
The only, this costume would have to have its entire dialogue changed. Like, they would have to get the guy to come back and just be like, be thine with thy earth,
Yeah.
Is that like Oni Akuma, basically, kind of thing? Or Stone
Ancient.
Stone
Akuma.
Ancient.
Pretty cool.
Interesting.
Who's this character? Have you seen this next character before? I'm not sure that I've ever seen. Oh, it's Jury. Ah, okay. Is she popular?
Yeah. Well, in order to make Jury right, you have to have 12 of them, right? So,
Got him.
Nash.
Oh, it's Classy Nash?
I guess so.
Or Thanatos Nash?
Thanatos Nash.
Oh, from a tarot card, huh?
Oh, okay,
that's a cool idea. It's not something I'm familiar with, but I think that's pretty nifty looking.
Right. What is this one here? This one is oh, it's Ryu.
This is Ryu, right?
It's like kind of gang style Ryu. It looks like Yakuza Ryu almost, kind of.
Cool. Basketball
Manat.
Yeah, this one was so cool. Isn't that cool?
I like basketball. I mean, obviously,
so cool.
I have the basketball. I have the basketball fanness, but I also think it's just cool just to have her in the poofy sweater.
I love it. I think this one's so cool.
Oh, this one's cute. That one's cute. And then of course here's the finalists over here. So. Yeah.
So I mean, the ones that were picked for the finals, I think, are mostly good. Some of them I really like. I think some of them are a little confusing compared to the ones that did not make the top 12.
So here you go. Recap your finalists right here, including the winner.
Congratulations to Jury.
Yep. Here you go.
Yeah, 2 juries they picked. Well, I mean, clearly, can you guys imagine how many jury submissions they got? What percentage of all submissions were juries, do you think? Like, it was above 10.
Yeah. There was definitely a lot of them. And there you go.
Yeah. A huge amount, for sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, congrats to Jury. Definitely going to win. Good job to everybody who submitted art. I saw a lot of great ones. Really cool. Yeah. Fun time.
Yeah. It's cool stuff. And I mean, I know a lot of people at first were kind of against the spec work kind of aspect of the contest, but honestly, from what I've seen from the artists and how much they're really into this, and for a lot of them it really would just be super cool to get their design into the game. I've kind of changed my mind about that feeling, because it really seems like these guys it would just be so awesome to be cemented into the game permanently that way,
Sounds right.
Okay. All right.
Okay. All right, let's talk a little bit more about some community stuff. There's not a lot to talk about, but a few things. The biggest one is that EXO Academy is doing Season 2, which is great. That is really, really good news. EXO Academy... well, James, you were involved with it. You want to explain?
Yeah, EXO Academy is basically a group that was created very similar to, you know, the Smash Queens and also to Combo Queens as well, but, you know, as a way to help encourage and help create an environment in which, you know, women can succeed in the fighting game community. A lot of times people say, oh, you know what, fighting games just aren't made for women. Look, you don't see many of them playing them. A lot of the times it's just because the environment is unfriendly for it, right? You're a woman, you're trying to get in there, you're good, and then players talk shit about you. They have very sexist slurs for you, you know. There's just so many things going against you. I mean, we've had plenty of amazing fighting game players. I mean, I can name you a bunch of them right now, you know, women fighting game players that have quit because of the toxicity that they had to endure, and I can't blame them. Like, why do you want to deal with that, right? There's 7,000 other things you can do where you don't have to deal with this shit, right? So Exo Academy is kind of designed in a way to create and foster an environment to help them have that kind of success in a way to, you know, kind of start trying to change the ratios and try to change the environment and have these women succeed. And last season, for example, you know, I helped some of them through commentary practice. We've seen Phantomiria and Romanova do commentary. Those are two FGC members that I helped with commentary tips. And then, you know, we've seen players like P-Chan continue to play at tournaments and such. And, you know, it was a really neat program. And I said I was going to help Persia out because I think it's a great cause. And I think Persia's doing something really, really wonderful. So I'm really excited that they're doing this.
For sure. So Kavakor will be the trainer for Tamara for Life. It's one of the things that they got going on here.
Mm-hmm.
They're still having Amanda Stevens involved. Mama Dow will be involved. Caitlin McGee, I believe she was before as well, and as physical therapy stuff. And Core A Gaming is giving advice on content creation as well.
And like I've asked Persia before, can I get Mama Dow and Core A Gaming to train me? Man, I could definitely use help. And also just kind of want to...
I didn't say that was Mama Dow for branding specifically, and Amanda Stevens for media.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you know, just to address a comment in the chat saying that, you know, women don't play play video games much at all. It's just not true. It's just not true, especially in this day and age now where playing video games is such a common thing. Everyone grows up with consoles and PC games and everything like that in their house, and it's not what you think. It's not just like, oh, Candy Crush all day, you know. Again, it's part and parcel of a cyclic situation where, you know, if you're a woman and you go online, there was one girl who posted up clips of, you know, when she was on playing a first-person shooter. I think it was Valorant online, and people would be like, oh, hey, you know what, I would pick this character, but one of our teammates is a girl, so I think I need to cover this space, you know, and da-da-da-da. And, you know, people being like, oh, hey, girl, you know, or, you know, oh, God, like, oh, wow, you actually did that, you know, kind of thing. And it's a cyclic problem. You know, it's not that women don't play video games. It's just that the environment is just not particularly friendly for them. And so definitely something has to change, you know.
Imagine if you could go back in time and go to the advertising team back in the 80s who was trying to advertise the Nintendo and other early consoles and games as being for boys. And you could just be like, hey, this is actually for everybody, not for boys. And I feel like if you would just go back in time and like change the mindset of like 10 people in advertising, this could have been a completely different story the last 30 years. But that's the world that we got. So, you know, it's up to us to try to fight against that stuff.
Yeah, again, just as a perfect example, Pac-Man was statistically said to be played by 60% women. Like, more women played Pac-Man during its popularity than men. And I don't know what changed. I don't know why at some point in time they decided, oh, okay, video games, you know, we just need to put in everything in there that appeals to men only, and it became a boys club thing. And I don't know why it happened, and it's kind of upsetting because you would look at old advertisements for video games, and you know, you look at advertisements for board games a long time ago, they always show the family. Like, that's kind of how they tried to advertise the Atari 2600, was the family. Right. You know, whenever you saw a poster of like, hey, here's Pac-Man, it would be, you know, there's women and then there's men on the poster. They made Ms. Pac-Man after Pac-Man, you know, and trust me, that appealed to women everywhere. And it's just, you know, I don't know what changed it. And it's kind of...
I've read a couple of pieces about it. I don't remember all the details now. I wish I did. But yeah, there were a small set of advertising executives who wanted to sort of get a strong identifiable market that they could market to specifically, because they felt that would be the best way to increase sales in it. Yeah. And they went with boys because there were already lots of toys for girls. I don't know if you were at the right age, but I was at just the right age where when we began playing video games, one of my best friends growing up was a girl. We played video games together all the time. And by the time we were, I don't know, 10, not even, you know, still little kids, really, she had already basically been taught the lesson by constant advertising on TV that these are not for you. And she stopped playing. And she never went back to it. And, I mean, my wife's that way. She played when she was a little kid, and then eventually was taught the lesson, oh, these are not for you. And she sort of just swerves away. That happened to so many people. And then you have this whole horrible culture of, oh, it's sort of, we had been told this is for boys, now it's for boys. And now we sort of developed the culture that we've had of it being for guys for no reason other than it just was a stupid advertising decision.
Yeah.
And really,
well, Muckmaster and Reo Ayanami kind of mentioned this is because, you know, when you were put into Toys R Us, you had to classify it as a boy or a girl's toy so they know what shelf to put on, etc. And also, Nintendo purposely marketed their console as a toy as opposed to electronics. Because during that time, there was a rule with electronics that there were buyback programs. That if your electronic didn't sell, then the company, by law, like had to buy back some of the unsold stuff. And this was not true for toys. So if you overpurchased toys, you didn't have to do this. But for electronics, it was a standard in the industry, which is why Nintendo made Rob the Robot. They specifically made Rob the Robot to make it look like a toy so they could shove it into the toy category. So if the Nintendo didn't sell, which of course it turned out that didn't happen, but if it didn't sell, they wouldn't have to buy it back at all. That was the whole impetus behind Rob making it a toy. And I guess in that case, then they had to decide whether it was a boy's toy or a girl's toy, and they had to market it towards boys. So, that's kind of frustrating. So
it is kind of frustrating. Anyway, shout outs to Exo Academy for doing some work to try to combat this.
Sorry.
Do you guys hear that?
I just had to put up the cat on my screen. Oh my god, it's taking up the whole screen. I did not realize my camera was set up like that. Okay, never mind. I'll turn that off.
There are lots of cat noises happening on my end. I'm not sure if that's audible.
I heard something.
There's been a lot of cat stuff. Can you click on the Ergobox Prototype and put that up on?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
This is so cool. So as a little description here, this is a custom Ergobox. You'll see why we're calling it that. That is 3D printed, made by you 3 a.m. Sleep on Reddit. 3D printed, super interesting.
It's interesting because this is kind of something
it's like a hitbox, but an ergonomic take on it.
Right.
The reason.
This was something that I had talked about even for your split box. I don't know if you remember. I said that there should be a way to kind of like prop it up at an angle so that you can kind of play it that way. But this is it right here. So I know Bura Bure brought it up to me. I don't know who brought it up to you, David. But I mean, I think that this is a really cool idea.
Oh, cool.
The video that Burabure showed me didn't even have the buttons in it yet. It was just a 3D printed with the circles drawn on it, ready to put the buttons in. But this is the progress on it. And it's a great idea. This is something that I absolutely think should be a controller. I think this is Burabure is the creator. Oh, okay, never mind. So when Burabure linked it to me, they were actually the ones that designed this. That's so cool. Okay.
Oh, are you u/3am sleep on there? That same person?
And yeah, you can see all the ergonomic keyboards on the desk as well as inspiration. Yeah, I think this is a great idea.
Cool. Yeah, I'm super on board. On board. Yeah, like James says, when it comes to my little flip box, that I drove over to James's place with, it turns out.
Yep.
Now I happen to have right here. I thought about making it so that the sides, as you can see, are like very slightly angled, super slight on the top. I thought about making it a very severe angle, and didn't do it for a number of reasons. I think it just would have been a little bit more difficult to do design-wise, but I thought about doing that, and I kind of wish that I had now. I think it would have been a really cool idea. Maybe I should figure out a way to do that in the future. But I definitely like the idea. I'm super on board with the idea of having ergonomic controllers. I think that the hitbox is a big leap in a lot of ways, but I do think it has some ergonomic issues. That your hands are so close together and both straight, right, rather than sort of coming at it from a more comfortable, natural angle.
Yeah. I will say,
I'd love to see more iteration on this, more improvement on this.
I will say that Maximilian's idea that he put in chat would definitely be classified as a boy's toy. I mean, this kind of came up when we were talking about Tekken and, after the round table where they talked about controls and stuff. We got a lot of comments in the YouTube saying, like, no, fighting games should just be joystick and buttons and joystick and buttons. And, and I responded to a lot of those comments and saying, like, you just can't do it that way. Like, if you're banning hitboxes and everything like that. And it also puts a gray area. Where do you stop it? Because Sonic Fox figured out with the accessibility options, you could kind of turn the PlayStation 4 pad into getting free, electric wing God Fist uppers, God Fists and stuff like that. And so where's the gray line? Did the pad give you an advantage, And so we have to get to the point where we stop using the actual input device as a means by which to generate the difficulty in the game. It's like I said, you can have a hitbox, you can have an Ergobox, you can have a cross-up, all those things. Guilty Gear is still going to be hard. Guilty Gear is still going to be hard to do. Like, you can create games with it. The hardest part for Tekken is just that Tekken has decades of legacy. That's the main thing that's holding that particular case back, is that Electric Wing Godfist was designed to be hard on a joystick, and some people have spent 7 years, 8 years, over a decade getting good at that. You change the execution on the Electric Wing Godfist, and it's like a slap in the face to everybody who's practiced that, but I don't think that that's something we need to maintain. I just don't think it's something that we should be trying to maintain at this point. So
I 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
And in any case, it hasn't been just joystick or even just pad for a long time. Even way back in the day, there were people who were playing on keyboard.
Yeah.
I remember people coming to tournaments in the mid-2000s who were already playing on keyboard.
Hell, I mean, we also had Square Gate, Octogate, Perfect 360s, convex button, concave buttons, bigger buttons, smaller buttons. Like, I mean, look, I've played on all of it in the arcade days because people who maintained arcades didn't know that it made a difference. They didn't care. They put whatever wherever. I have seen Capcom games thrown into a Mortal Kombat cabinet with the run button and just use that layout. I don't even know what was the kicks and the punches. I've seen the opposite. I've seen Mortal Kombat's put into Street Fighters with run at God knows where. Like, oh man. Definitely. And concave buttons, man, back when we were playing, we were like, that's crazy. Why would you use convex buttons? These things are terrible, Like, nowadays, it feels like it's weird, but that's the way it was,
right,
man.
for sure.
Yeah.
And pads themselves have a lot of different iterations. Do you have 4 face buttons? Do you have the 4 shoulder buttons? Do you have 6 face buttons? All this, a lot of stuff that's always been different like that.
Dude, I want Investigation Cone's idea of making a joystick, like a hitbox with missile command buttons. They were the little black cones with the red plastic see-through dot that lit up on the top of it, and like they felt really weird to click. Oh my god, that would be amazing. It would be so like pointless, but it would be amazing.
Yeah, what if you use the old Street Fighter 1 buttons, maybe a slightly improved version of those,
right?
Where you had to press different strengths of it, and then you could decide whether to do fierce, medium, or
I mean,
jack.
that could be an alternate way to use Max's suggestion, right? I mean, you could maybe design it that way or something like that, but I mean, there's just so many different ways you could do it. There's, I mean, joysticks even, right? There were bat tops, there's the ball tops, there's the like the big giant Tron joystick trigger kind of things, you know. There's just been so many different kind of ideas out there. So at this point in time, like, to say that a game needs to be stuck on one particular input device is just not realistic. Not realistic, and 2, I think the wrong way to think about it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Shoutouts to the Ergobox. It's made me... I haven't thought about using or remaking my design for Splitbox in many months because the company that I used to cut the plastic for it stopped doing it, and I'd have to like think about how to do it again. Maybe they're back up now. I should check, I guess. But in any case, I haven't thought about it in a long time, and now I'm like, wow, I gotta get back into this game.
Dude, oh my god. Katy Perry just said something. How much you want to bet, like, 13 years from now, we're going to get that one player coming in and they will play on an iPad because they just got so good at using a virtual joystick playing fighting games on an iPad.
So, yeah, do you mean somebody who gets super good at Street Fighter 4 mobile and becomes the best eventually on Street Fighter 6?
Yeah, exactly, dude. It's crazy.
I can see that. I can see that. Look, there are pro players who play Fortnite mobile.
Yep.
They stream on Fortnite mobile. That's a thing that exists. Now, are they keeping up with the people who are playing pro stuff on PC? You know. But there are people who do that.
Dude, someone plays on the pad and buttons of a steering wheel controller. Someone has a body pillow as a controller. Someone plays fighting games on a guitar controller. Look, the human being's greatest strength is the ability to get good at whatever the hell you want. We have tournaments for cup stacking. We have tournaments for, folding pizza boxes. We have pizza dough tossing tournaments. Whatever you want to do out there, people will get good at it and want to be the best at it. And so, know.
Only kidding. Okay, maybe. All right. Good luck, everybody. Alright, cool. Yeah, shoutouts again to the Ergobox. As far as other community news, just wanted to say congrats to Darth Arma and his wife Chelsea. They had their kid. Well, Chelsea had their kid.
Cool. Okay.
So nice. They are now parents. Congratulations to them.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Maximilian Dude was in the chat earlier. He definitely knows all about that as well. So yeah,
we definitely gave him props at the time, but continued props.
Yes,
I'm sure
exactly.
That is a continuing process.
Yep. Anything else that's going on?
Well, I finished my tofu. It was really good.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah.
Tofu sounds
I made a bunch of rice. I made tofu in a sauce that had onion and garlic at the base, and then I put in, what do you call that stuff? Celery, and I put in red pepper flakes and a bunch of tofu. That's probably relevant for the tofu that I made. It was really good. Yeah. Other stuff too, I don't know, whatever. It was a pretty busy dish, but it was really tasty.
Oh yeah, that's right. Also, congratulations to Katana Prime and his girlfriend as well. I know that they're expecting, she's I think 6 weeks in now, so congratulations to them as well. Because I know it's been a tough year for Bryant, and so I'm just like really glad to see things going well here. So
absolutely, Thank you to Milifuna for the sub.
So
yeah, keeping it up.
Maximilian asks, you guys had a chance to try Parsec stuff yet? I've actually thanks to Jason Game Dev in the chat, I'm one of the biggest proponents of it. I've been trying to introduce it to everybody. I run Soul Cal distancing on Monday night where all the Soul Calibur players come in and play, and they have been blown away by it. I introduced it to Pat the Flip, and Pat the Flip tried it as well, and Pat the Flip was like, I did something with it before and it wasn't very good, but this is actually kind of good. So he's considering it for Guilty Gear now. It's so good, dude. It's really, really good. And I'm planning to do more with it. I'm planning to do Guilty Gear nights. Like I said, Monday night is Soul Cal distancing. Okay, fine. Soul Shoal distancing. God. Come on, David. I wanted to make it to blend in the Soul Calibur part of it in there. So I purposely removed the I to make it Soul Cal distancing.
I just can't believe it. It's so clear that social distancing.
Well, because that's the pun. It's the same pun, but I wanted to make it more emphasis on Soul Calibur. Come on, man.
It's so obvious. All right. It's your thing. It's your thing.
Okay, but, for me, the games that I'm concentrating on right now, because Tong Never Sleeps, Tong from Florida, that Tong Never Sleeps is his Twitter, I'm sorry, but he is doing Marvel, so he's got Marvel handled pretty well. I'm trying to do a lot of stuff with Soul Calibur. Sabin Deuce and Sabin, two separate people, are going to work together to do Soul Calibur stuff as well. I haven't seen anyone do anything for Guilty Gear, so I'm going to do that. I'm also going to try to do some stuff for Under Night in Birth as well. Tekken is another game that could profit off of this very, very well, but I feel like that's something like Rip should probably go into, or Rixta, or somebody like that, should probably look into. I may have to talk to them and try to get them into it as well, but right now, the Monday night that I throw up for Soul Calibur, all the Soul Calibur players come in there, and every time literally, they'd be on the character select screen, and they'd be like, wait, it already felt different on the character select screen. And then once they get into the match, it's like round one fight. They move and they're like, oh my God, they hadn't even hit a button yet. And they're like, oh my God. So the reason why I haven't done Tekken is the same reason why Jason hasn't done it either. It's because it's a 60 gig game. Soul Calibur has one really big problem, is that the entire game is in one giant freaking 30-some gig file or something like that, and so it makes the cloud environment a little awkward. I have a workaround for it that takes 30 minutes, which is annoying, but it doesn't have that problem in a lot of the other games. So I never got Street Fighter V running on there. It does seem rather stupid to want to change a rollback game into delay-based netcode, but Street Fighter V is the game that we're playing. So Street Fighter V is the game that we're playing. Would it run better on it? It probably would, but it's all good.
Yeah, certainly SF4, that kind of stuff should be better.
Yeah. And again, Parsec is not limited to anything except for what you can play on your PC. If you had emulators for something like the Karate Champ, you could play that on there too. If you threw MAME on your machine, you could play Karate Champ that way. You could play whatever the hell you wanted that way. And the thing that makes it work well is not that it is a magic bullet and solves netcode problems. Is it just it offloads the performance of the game onto the cloud machine, and then you are only sending your inputs to the thing. You don't have to worry about game state or anything like that. And so it's a very little data that you're sending there. It's very quick. Also, because you're only just sending the inputs, the connection remains constant. There's no sending of game states, like I said. If you have a 3-frame input delay, which is very possible, even 4-frame input delay, but it'll be consistent 4-frame delay. It won't fluctuate back and forth. You'll never get weird slowness. You'll never get delays in the game and such, or anything like that. So that's the advantage. It's not a magic bullet. It doesn't solve all the problems out there, but it's just better than most existing delay-based netcode. So it's not even rollback without rollback. I wouldn't call it that. That is a completely inaccurate way to describe it. It's delay-based netcode. It is 100% delay-based netcode, but it's consistent, and it's it basically has taken all the pieces and specialize them into certain things. Parsec handles the inputs and also the image streaming, which is a technology that Discord and remote desktop and everything uses, right? The game performance is offloaded onto the cloud machine. So even if your machine is trash, you're running it on that machine, all you're sending is inputs, doesn't matter, this kind of thing. It's just offloading a lot of the stress and the problems onto separate pieces and makes it work that way. So, yeah.
Yeah, they've been able to design it better than like entire stadiums of people have been able to design before, which I think is really cool. Entire stadiums.
Stadiums?
Is that the right plural for that? Maybe not. Maybe
No, I think so. I think it's a different word.
Okay.
So.
I see. Well, anyway, congratulations to all the engineers who've actually figured it out.
Oh man. Yeah, and that's another big part of it too from Kraken. So Parsec works as well if I have a super beefy machine and I'm running it and someone connects to me and we can play. If they're close to me, they'll have a good ping and it works. But no matter what, the person being the host on Parsec will have a distinct advantage. One of the nice things about offloading it onto a cloud machine is you take away those distinct advantages. Now, obviously, if I'm hosting it at Northern California, the guy in Northern California has an advantage over another location, but I can spin up a server in Northern California, I can spin up a server in Ohio right now, and I will very soon be able to spin up a server in Northern Virginia as well, and then that kind of makes it so that if it's a coast-to-coast thing, I'd run Ohio, if it's an East Coast, I'd run North Virginia, etc., etc., and so you can kind of, as long as you know where the players are from, you can make it as nice as possible. So.
Hey man, who do you think's gonna win, Flow or TuboWare in Ultimate Marvel Capcom 3?
Look, the only reason why it's not tomorrow, it's on Thursday. It's gonna be on Thursday. For a lot of people, probably is tomorrow. No, not yet. So apparently, TuboWare and Flow have been calling each other out in fighting games for a very long time. And then on Thursday, on Generation Spacing, we were talking about it. Flow came in the chat. And immediately TuboWare said that he would kick his ass in Marvel, and Flo's like, I haven't played in forever, and I would still kick your ass. And so that kind of came down. So now this Thursday on Generation Spacing, which is on twitch.tv/jchensor, which will be at 9 p.m. Pacific time, I am going to run Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 via the Parsec server for the two players. And they're going to be going up against each other. So I'm kind of excited to see who's going to win. And so there's two factors, right? So you asked me who I think is going to win. Flo, one of the best casual players of all time, right? Yeah. He is basically unbeatable. Whenever I watch him play casuals with Justin, like when I watch Marn and Justin play casuals, Justin just destroys Marn all day. Like that's just all that happens. When Flo
just about everybody that he plays with.
Yeah, true. And
seriously, yeah.
When Justin and Flo play against each other, it's almost always even.
Yep.
It's almost always even. Flo is kind of nuts. However, this will be on stream, and we know how Flo is when he knows an audience is watching. So you ask me who's going to win, I don't know. You'll have to tune in and find out.
If Flo starts playing, if he doesn't practice at all, TuboWare might win. If Flo starts practicing at least 40 minutes before they play, Flo will win.
Yeah, that's the main question right now is I don't know if I should run half of the set on the Ohio server and then half of the set on the Northern California server just to give them both kind of a equal opportunity kind of thing. That's the question right now is which way should I do it? But I'll figure it out. Hi.
As far as the Apple/Epic thing goes, I don't have a lot to say about it. It's a lawsuit that Epic is bringing against Apple, alleging that Apple has been uncompetitive, anti-competitive, really, and that they are looking for Apple's monopoly on the Apple Store to get blown up. I'm in favor of that, 100%. As far as will it work, I'm not really an antitrust lawyer. I wouldn't want to speak on that too much, but
I just think
I've read credible people who disagree on it, so I'm not sure really.
I'm just of the opinion that it's just like it's two gigantic companies that make way too much money, and I can't really.
Yeah, but like I want to blow up a monopoly, and maybe at some point in the future, Epic will be a monopoly. In fact, maybe in some ways they already are a monopoly.
Yeah, I mean they kind of are already.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like blow them up.
And I mean, honestly, like everybody does this, right? It's not even just Apple. Google kind of does this too, and you know, on non-gaming platforms, there's these kind of monopolies everywhere. So, you know, I would like to see all of it get blown up. So if we can get the law passed on Apple, then hopefully it can be done everywhere as well. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not expecting like a resolution to this for a super long time. Cases between giant companies like this, assuming that they go to litigation, and they might, it could literally take a decade. Mm-hmm. That's how long it's taken for some stuff in the past. So don't expect there to be any kind of a real resolution on this stuff for a long time. Yep. All right.
I cannot do anything because I'm holding a cat.
Yeah, there has definitely been collateral damage. Like, I believe that Apple is going to remove Unreal tools from their store, which it doesn't just hurt Epic, right? That hurts developers. So that sucks. But there's no way that we can rely on the federal government for actual antitrust enforcement. We just don't have an effective federal government that's interested in enforcing the laws in these ways. It's basically all the companies fight amongst themselves.
I think you can actually take away the words "in these ways." Just don't have a lot of companies that want to enforce the laws.
Yeah.
It's like I said, you know what? It's cool that Jeff Bezos is a self-made gazillionaire, but if he paid his fair share of taxes, then you know what? I'm not gonna say I have no problem with that.
Screw that. Yeah, I'm not down with it. As far as Epic trying to act like the champion of the people, that's pretty funny, and it's effective PR. And their legal team definitely coordinated with their PR team on this, which is unique. It's pretty rare to see that there's such a close cooperation. But there are things in the lawsuit itself that mirror statements that the PR folks have made outside of it. So they clearly had some kind of cross-writing on this, which is an interesting idea.
And they were ready for it the entire time. It was definitely...
They planned it all out.
Yeah, it was a very, very calculated kind of thing.
They planned it all out.
Yeah. Okay.
That's it. Play Rocket Arena with me. We have an FGC Discord. Let's do it. It's $5 on Steam. Let's play this video game.
I own it now. Did I buy it?
Let me know if anybody wants to play. I'm not going to give you a copy, but if you pay $5, then you can play with us, and we do have an FGC Discord that's really active.
I can't remember if I bought it yet. I told Tubaware I was going to buy it, but I can't remember if I actually bought it now. So, okay. Well, all right. I'll have to do it, so. Okay.
That's all.
Cool. Thanks, guys, for tuning in to another show. Let me bird you guys out of here.
Shoutouts to the player who now has done really well with RoboCop in 2 weeks in a row on Dream Eater's Nightmare series. Xbox players playing Mortal Kombat 11. He got second place and then first place in the last couple of weeks. So shoutouts to.
So are people finally not saying that he's terrible now or something like that, or?
Nope, they're not. They're not saying that. But this player's doing work, and that's really good to see.
Cool. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Thanks, guys.